9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Tim Hughes. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. If you didn't get a ballot ahead of today's primary election, don't worry. The pool of people involved is limited, according to the Salt Lake County Clerk, Lanny Chapman.
People that are going to vote today are those that were eligible to get a ballot. So you're going to see the people that live within the new redistricted Congressional District 2 and are registered Republicans.
Chapman tells Utah's Morning News anyone who lives in the district boundaries who is unaffiliated can vote in today's Republican primary, but they need to register with the party and then vote in person. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A string of reported possible sightings of an escaped Pennsylvania inmate. He was serving a life sentence. We get more from ABC's Derek Dennis.
Authorities say Cavalcante somehow broke out of the Chester County prison last Thursday. He was just starting a life sentence without parole for stabbing his ex-girlfriend to death in front of her young children. Police zeroing in on a 2-mile radius around the prison, noting 4 credible sightings, including home burglaries that they believe was Cavalcante. Those incidents, coupled with home surveillance video captured on Saturday of Cavalcante hiding in a backyard, leaving investigators convinced of his general whereabouts.
Officials are offering a $10,000 reward for information that could lead to Cavalcante's capture. 2 teens and a man from Texas are in custody in Davis County after someone called 911 to report shots fired in North Salt Lake. When they got there, police found over 55 shell casings in a parking lot outside an apartment complex. Nobody was hurt. Your money at this moment, the markets have been down all morning, and we continue in that direction. We're off 53 points on the Dow. The S&P is down just 7, and the NASDAQ off this hour by 4 points. Coming up, a warm-up following a rainy Labor Day weekend. We'll check your full forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
This summer, the political season heats up.
By August, it'll be time for debates. Can you believe it?
We're planning coverage of the real issues, the important stories that impact how we live.
Listen each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Well, as you've been following me on my SOTA weight loss journey, 37 pounds lost in just 90 days. And so I never have to answer the question, does SOTA weight loss really work? I don't have to answer that. Nobody's ever asked because the results don't lie. 37 pounds down in 90 days. I'm over 20 months into maintenance, and I'm still right there, 37 pounds down. SOTA weight loss, SOTA, stands for state-of-the-art weight loss because it is state-of-the-art. You have a weekly session with your coach and nutritionist. You really take a holistic approach, all points of the compass in terms of tackling the mental, emotional, all the habits and behaviors you have around what you eat, and you change everything. You get the right nutrients, the right things that your body needs to burn, so you've got energy, you feel great. I'm not the only one. Thousands of people across the country are doing the same. You've heard me say it before. When it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win because you don't have to ask if it works. It's how, and how matters. Check it out at sotaweightloss.com.
The Utah RV Super Show at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy, September 14th through 17th. Get information and discount passes at utahRVSupershow.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Time again for a look at traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Andy, we got a problem on southbound I-15 now, huh?
Yeah, it's down in American Fork, Lehigh, right on the border near American Fork's Pioneer Crossing. For a minute, they had all the lanes open, and now they've got the cones out and blocked off the HOV lane again for this crash underneath a Pioneer Crossing overpass. Traffic still slowed back a little bit past Lehigh Main Street. We still have some northbound delay from SR 92 in Lehigh up to Point of the Mountain. We had a crash earlier that caused the slowing, and now we're just waiting on the delay to go away. And some reduced speeds in Midvale. SR 201 still backed up Bangor over to 900 West, and southbound 15 delays have shifted from Davis County into Salt Lake City with slowdowns between the North Interchange 215 and 600 North in Salt Lake. Experience over 80 original art pieces from prominent local to emerging artists amidst a backdrop of natural beauty. Art at the Park, September 8th and 9th at This Is the Place Heritage Park. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny today with a high of 79. Tomorrow, sunshine and 85. We're going to stay in the 80s all the way through the 7-day period. The temperature's rising just a little bit as we get back to the weekend. Right now in Salt Lake City, 61 this hour at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We know you are getting back into the swing of things after a long holiday weekend, but it is primary election day, so we got to get down to business here, and we've got a big lineup today.
Yeah, it's the last day you can vote, at least for this special election. You can even drop off your ballot today. It's good news. So, 9:07, it's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
Dave, you spotted this article on the Deseret News on Deseret.com. Insane property tax increases. So we're going to talk about that in the 10 o'clock hour. If you own a home, you know how unpredictable property tax increases can be. It can add another $50 or $100, surprise, to your monthly payment. Is there a solution? Maybe to lower property taxes or at least give homeowners some consistency?
Yeah, consistency, I think, is the key to this, Deb. I know when I purchase something, it's a 7% sales tax. If I make some money, income taxes set at whatever, 4.85%. I have no idea what I'm paying in property taxes. I just know that they keep going up year after year.
Countdown. 2.
A big focus today, primary election day. That's right. If you live in a city that has a race, we've got you covered. We're going to go into that in about 20 minutes. We also have the Congressional District 2 candidates calling in. We've confirmed Celeste Malloy. She's actually on hold right now, Dave. Bruce Huff is going to call in the 11 o'clock hour. We're still working on getting Becky Edwards as well. All 3 of them on the GOP primary ticket. And you got to vote by today.
Yeah, and then coming up at 9:50, Governor Spencer Cox joins the show.
Launch countdown. 1.
So you want the bad news? Turnout right now is at 25%. I mean, maybe it's a little higher because that's the last number that I saw from Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, and that came out yesterday morning. Turnout will be low for local city council races, too. It's sad, but it's true. My hot take is if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. You have not earned the right to complain. At best, 60% of you won't vote. You don't have the right to complain.
In CD2, it's just kind of been a slow, steady turnout. We'll probably get somewhere between 35 and 40% roughly. Wayne County and some of the rural ones kind of lead the way in percentage. Obviously, there's a lot fewer overall votes in those, but percentage-wise, they have a few more in some of the rural areas. And right now, the lowest turnout is in Tooele County.
And I guess we can't be totally surprised. These odd year elections, the municipal elections, they're always low turnout because it's not really as exciting to vote for a mayor or a city council as it is for the president of the United States. But this year, with this special election with Representative Chris Stewart resigning, that should probably spin up a little more interest than it has so far.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The Launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
By our calculations here at KSL News Radio, there are 210,000 active registered Republicans in Utah's 2nd Congressional District. And if you look at the percentage who have voted so far, that's 52,000 of the 210,000. What's going on?
Yeah, I think part of it is people just don't know. Like, this is such a strange time to vote, even for a primary. Joining us right now is one of the congressional candidates, Celeste Malloy. Welcome. Today is, I guess, the day, at least the first step, right?
Right. It's Election Day.
Are you finding, as you're on the campaign trail, Celeste, that people don't realize that we have a special election? What do you think it is that's driving turnout to be not quite where we want it to be?
I'm hoping that a lot of people are going to vote today. I spent a lot of time over the weekend texting and calling people who haven't voted yet, and a lot of them said they had mailed their ballots in late last week, so they haven't shown up in the tallies yet because it was a holiday weekend without mail delivery. And a lot of them plan on voting today because they want to vote on Election Day. So I think those numbers are going to come up.
We haven't seen a lot of polling that's come out, but I did see the one that had Becky Edwards at 30-something%, Bruce Huff at 11%, you at 9%. But I think the most shocking number of all was almost half of people, I think it was 47%, didn't know who they were going to vote for. What do you attribute that to?
Well, mostly I attribute it to the fact that poll concluded early in August. And in a 2-month race, that many weeks is a long time. So I'm quite certain that most people know who they're voting for now. And I don't know how useful that poll is at this point. I've been all over this district. I've talked to a lot of people, and I'm seeing a lot of enthusiasm for me and for my campaign that poll didn't capture. So I'm really hopeful about how things are going to go today.
Celeste Malloy in the home stretch today, as primary election day is today. It's your last chance to vote. If you're a registered Republican in the 2nd Congressional District, you have a very important primary election to decide on between Celeste Malloy, Becky Edwards, and Bruce Huff. Celeste, final push today. What is your main topic? What is most top of mind for voters?
Well, I am hoping that they get out and get their ballots in today or vote in person. But I just want to remind everyone that I said I was going to run a clean campaign, and I have. And I've been out working, and I've said from the beginning that whoever represents this district needs to represent the district as a whole. And I've been everywhere. I've been in all the counties. I've talked to people in all corners of the district. So for people who are still undecided and are planning on voting today, I just want to remind them of that, and that I'm the convention nominee, and that I want to represent this district well.
You did make a concerted effort, an effort unlike anything I've seen in the past, to campaign in southern Utah. But there's a lot of voters here in the northern part as well in your district. What message do you have specifically for northern Utah?
That the issues are not that different in southern Utah and northern Utah. The details might be different, but the things that people have talked to me about have been, inflation, spending, and government overreach. That affects everybody in the country and definitely everybody in this district. So if you live in Salt Lake or Davis County, you might not be as concerned about overreach when it comes to public lands, but the same principles apply to every government agency, everything that the federal government is involved in our day-to-day lives that they shouldn't be. If you're worried about schools, if you're worried about the IRS, if you're worried about the Department of Justice, it's all the same concept. The federal government needs to be kept in check. Agencies need to be kept in their lanes, and Americans are freer when that happens. That's what I want to do.
Celeste Malloy, thank you for joining us. GOP candidate for the 2nd Congressional District. Today is primary day.
Still a lot ahead. We're going to have the governor calling the show in about 35 minutes. I'm sure he'll be making a last-minute push plea, a push and a plea to get people to cast their ballots, not only in the 2nd congressional race, but we also have a ton of municipal elections on the ballot as well. Lanny Chapman, who is the county clerk in Salt Lake County, calling the show in 3 minutes. And also Bruce Huff on the agenda for the 11 o'clock hour. Again, he's on the primary election ballot in the Republican race for the 2nd Congressional District.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
When the day's almost done,
Another day, another dollar.
there's the drive home. Put Jeff Kaplan in the passenger seat.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, thanks. You're in my car.
Yep, let me catch you up.
Jeff has traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the nines, breaking stories, and his signature minute of news. It's like Jeff's there just for you.
This is a little awkward.
Isn't it great?
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
You know, when I'm looking to get something done, some sort of work, whether it's a car, something on my house, I like to get some bids to get an idea. Okay, what is this going to cost me? But sometimes, Deb, it feels like those bids have nothing to do with the actual cost. Once I see the total cost of the bill, why did I even bother with the bids?
So if you're getting electrical work done, you've got to call Master Electrical because you'll love their upfront pricing. Dave, you and I sat down with Master Electrical. We walked through what this upfront pricing means. I mean, anybody who's gotten a bid that's hourly, you know that it just depends on how long it takes the person to get the job done, and you're pacing back and forth in the kitchen, waiting for them to wrap up, getting more and more nervous. This is not the case with Master Electrical. They will give you upfront pricing, and you will never see an upcharge.
Yeah, in fact, their pricing system simply won't allow an upcharge.
So if you are in the market right now to get, another DIY project done, you need the ceiling fans put in, you need smoke detectors, making sure those are working and all hooked up properly, or you need an EV charger, all you need to do is call Master Electrical.
And Deb, I'm still negotiating with my wife to get some more ceiling fans. So if I get the okay, definitely calling Master Electrical. Give them a call, 866-569-0860. That's 866-569-0860.
Or you can check them out online at masterelectrical.com.
People can tell you that you're special, but Hercules Credit Union puts words into action. Let Hercules Credit Union treat you extra special with this limited time special deal. Open a new checking account and Hercules Credit Union will upgrade you to a premier status checking account free of monthly fees. Get a Visa debit card with your new checking account and receive 25,000 rewards points. Feeling special yet? Open a Visa credit card at the same time and get another 25,000 rewards points. Good for ultimate identity theft protection. Travel benefits and perks? It means cellular care coverage against accidental damage. Hey, I'm not done yet. It means gas and grocery gift cards. And yeah, there's a lot more. Start at HerculesCU.com and learn how to qualify for a free premier checking account for a limited time because you are special. HerculesCU.com. Hercules Credit Union, growing stronger together. All accounts insured to $250,000 by NCUA.
Here's a question. Do you wear dentures? At Grandpa's Dental, you can trade in your floppy dentures and get $2,000 towards an implant-supported solution. You know, they say the older you get, the more you need your teeth. Well, chewing your food isn't a luxury. And taking a bite out of a nice, juicy steak, well, it takes teeth. At Grandpa's Dental, they have over 10,000 restorations under their belt, and it's always affordable. When you walk into one of their 3 locations, you're family, period. At Grandpa's Dental, they live their family legacy by building lasting relationships through state-of-the-art services. So if you want to stop the flop and actually eat foods you can chew, trade in your dentures at Grandpa's Dental for $2,000 toward your implant solution. Schedule your free consultation at grandpasdental.com today. That's grandpasdental.com.
Is it time to replace your roof? Intermountain West Contractors can finish most projects in just one day using top-tier quality materials at an affordable price. Visit iwcroofing.com.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails from people all the time. Here's one. Dear Dan, I hear your talk about a lifetime service guarantee. Free? Really? Please help me avoid all your fine print and be honest about what free means. You understand that we should be very wary of a free offer. Signed, Skeptical. Hi, Skeptical. I remember 22 years ago when we started PC Laptops and our lifetime service guarantee, people thought it was too good to be true. Well, after a decade, people started believing me a little bit. But it's been 22 years of having the privilege to serve our friends and neighbors like you. Our lifetime service guarantee has become the most trusted warranty in the industry. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop computer, and they start at only $29 a month. Check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. Here's to seeing you soon, Skeptical.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, today is primary election day in the state, with Republicans in the 2nd Congressional District picking their candidate to replace Congressman Chris Stewart. Second, Highway 6 near Helper is open again after being washed out during a heavy rainstorm. But there will still be delays because a temporary dirt road has been put in place until a permanent fix is finished. And third, southern Utah has seen record-setting rain over the last 2 days, with some areas seeing over 4 inches of water. We're going to look for a high today of 79. Very pleasant. Right now in Salt Lake City, 61 degrees. Let's get you back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
The race to replace. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
We are talking about the race to replace and other races as well. We've got lots of local elections on the ballot. We're on track right now to have a turnout well below half, well below 50% in the GOP primary for the 2nd Congressional District. That's for Representative Chris Stewart's seat. Right now it's at 25%.
That's not awesome. And I think what surprises us, we've changed the way we vote. We no longer just show up on a Tuesday. We expect to see higher numbers before Election Day because we fill out our ballot, we mail it, we drop it off, whatever it might be. But nevertheless, 25%, not good.
We just spoke with candidate Celeste Malloy. She's on the primary ballot along with Becky Edwards and Bruce Huff. And she said she's talked to a lot of people and texted a lot of people this weekend who said, I have gotten my ballot in. I just mailed it. It's a long holiday weekend, and so maybe it hasn't been counted yet. So that could certainly be some good news for the bottom line once all of the results are tabulated. Of course, we're going to have full coverage all day long. Boyd Matheson on top of the story and tracking the candidates. KSL at night as well with initial results as they pour in. The 2nd Congressional District isn't the only race on the primary ballot. Let's go over the list. Dave, I want you to listen to this. Here's KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. He has a list of cities, council spots that are up for grabs.
In Salt Lake County, the cities of Bluffdale, Brighton, Cottonwood Heights, Draper, Murray, Riverton, Sandy, West Jordan, West Valley, and Copperton have primaries for city council and district trustee. Utah County cities of Lehigh, American Fork, Eagle Mountain, Orem, Pleasant Grove, Provo, and Springville have primaries for city council. Davis County cities of Layton, West Point, Woods Cross, and South Davis have primaries for city council and water district trustee. Weber County cities of Ogden and Roy have primaries for city council and mayor. All in, 23 cities will be electing new city council members. Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
That's a list. Yeah, and to be honest, how often does a city council affect your day-to-day living? Far more than the federal government. If you have a problem with trash, sanitation, with a crosswalk, that is not taken care of by President Joe Biden.
With your property taxes?
Yeah.
Which is going to be top of mind in our 10 o'clock hour as we talk about the spike in property taxes that homeowners are enduring right now. Turnout for municipal primaries is going to be even lower, maybe around 30%, Lanny. Lanny Chapman with Salt Lake County Clerk. Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you thinking, I don't know, I guess maybe Do we live in a world where 40% turnout is considered a win?
For a municipal primary, 40% would be a win. I don't think we're going to quite reach that. In part, due to the special session, we pushed back the election day, and I think that has really impacted the amount of voter participation that we're seeing.
Did the holiday weekend mess anything up?
You know what? I think so. However, the Hill, when they decided to move back the election day, were very smart in saying that ballots can be postmarked on election day, because typically, as you know, ballots need to be postmarked the day before election day. But since yesterday was a holiday, Labor Day, the post wasn't open, so they've added today. So you can still get in your ballots if you have them postmarked by today or dropped off at any of our drop boxes.
Lanny Chapman, Salt Lake County Clerk, of course, in charge of tabulating votes and making sure elections run smoothly here in the Salt Lake County area. When will we start seeing results? Because I'm going to be listening tonight to KSL at night anyway, like I always do. But, I want to know when the tea is going to be spilled, Lanny.
Yeah, so we're hoping to do our first nightly report right after that 8 p.m. deadline. So we cannot report anything before 8 p.m., so it'll be soon thereafter. And that will include all of the mail that we've processed up till that time. So my team worked yesterday to make sure that all the ballots that we received up through yesterday will be included in that first push. And then thereafter, we'll continue to push out results that will include all of the in-person voting. So I'm hoping to be done by 11, but we're here as long as we need to stay here.
What are some of the reasons you wouldn't have received a ballot?
So if people didn't turn them in until today, I've talked to a couple of my colleagues, and one of the things I say is good morning, and the second thing is, did you vote yet? And a lot of people, it's just not top of mind for this primary election. So a lot of people have promised me that they will be turning in their ballots today in one of our drop boxes or voting in person, which is definitely another option that we have.
Lanny Chapman, Salt Lake County Clerk, on the line with us right now. It is primary election day. It is a special election. The driver behind that is the 2nd Congressional District seat, the one that Chris Stewart holds, will be vacated shortly. And the GOP and the Democratic Party and the United Utah Party and others have put up candidates. But today, in that particular race, it's the GOP primary that is front and center. 3 candidates on the ballot there. And what are you seeing for turnout so far in Salt Lake County? Are they on track with this 25% they're seeing statewide in the 2nd Congressional District race, Lanny?
So we're actually above that. As of last night, we were about 27% for that CD2 race here in Salt Lake County. And again, anybody that lives within that congressional district, 2 district, that is also an affiliated Republican can participate in that part of the election.
Lanny Chapman, thank you for joining us, Salt Lake County Clerk.
Special note, we just got word that Becky Edwards is going to be joining the show in the 10 o'clock hour, right at 10:05. Bruce Huff joining the show at 11:35. The governor, he's not running. But we roped him in anyway. No, I think it's important to him to have a one-on-one with us and our listeners today about the special election and making sure people are getting out the vote. So he's calling in 20 minutes. I wonder why you think, Dave, people don't vote. I'm going to give you my opinion in just a moment. We're going to take phone calls on this in about 5 minutes. What do you think it is?
Why they don't vote?
Yeah,
Number one, I think they don't know. Quite honestly, especially for these municipal primaries, so many people have no idea that on September 5th that you should be voting. No, voting happens in November. So anytime outside of November, I think the mindset is not there.
I think people are burned out on politics. I think it's a sign that people are burnt out and just on politics in general. What is it? What you think it's the special election time is just way off for people to figure out.
Kind of out of sight, out of mind.
I want to ask our listeners, are you burnt out on politics? Is that why you don't vote? Or you hesitate to vote? Like, are you like that kind of voter? It's like an accidental voter. Like, I have to vote because it's my civic duty to vote. And if I don't vote, I have no right to complain. Or are you just flat burnt out on politics? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Look forward to your live calls next.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Tim Hughes with a look at some of our top stories this half hour. It is primary election day. Davis County Clerk Brian McKenzie says people can be assured that the mail-in election process is thorough, secure, and transparent.
Utah has had almost a decade of experience in conducting elections primarily by mail. We have learned a lot over those years. We've fine-tuned it and continue to do that. I think that's the attitude that you will find among anybody who's involved in the election process.
McKenzie says there are a number of reconciliations that will be conducted, meaning that the ballots received match the ballots counted and recorded, a process that is fully open to the public. 2 teens and a man from Texas are in custody in Davis County after someone called 911 to report shots fired in North Salt Lake. When police got there, they found over 55 shell casings in a parking lot outside an apartment complex. Luckily, no one was hurt. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Workers with the United Auto Workers could strike later this month if no agreement is reached between them and the big 3 automakers. Rebecca Jarvis is ABC's chief business correspondent.
The hard deadline is 11:59 p.m. on September 14th. The head of the UAW says if the automakers, including GM, Stellantis, and Ford, do not meet their demands, they will strike, shutting down production across the country.
Workers are asking for a hefty pay increase of 46%, the return of their transitional pension plan, and a shorter work week. They want 32 hours a week. Your money at this moment, the market's still in the red. We were in the green briefly there on the NASDAQ, but it has since dropped down about 13 points. The S&P is off by 0.2 or 9 points this hour, and the Dow is down about 57 points. Coming up, the sun is back out today, and just a slight chance we'll see any showers really all week long. We'll check that full forecast next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
One of the best ways to find out about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath is actually to hear the results for yourself. On the phone with us is Wendy in Darwin. Wendy, you got a brand new bathroom.
I do, and it's beautiful.
Are you loving it?
I am absolutely loving it.
Okay, tell me about your bathroom.
It went from a dark room that felt like an absolute cave when I walked into it to a bright, airy, opened the space up. I mean, I don't know what else. It's just absolutely wonderful.
She's almost speechless. So, Darwin, tell me about all the man stuff. How did it work? The quality, the convenience, how did they do?
Excellent. We contacted 3-Day Bath, and they got back to us the next day. The communication was excellent. They were on time in all their promises, and it's beautiful. It's a great bathroom.
Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
For more about your new kitchen or bath, visit 3daykitchenutah.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath. If you've had painful kidney stones, you know you don't want more. Moonstone Stone Stopper is a simple solution that works. Created and recommended by top kidney stone doctors, Stone Stopper is an alkali citrate formula scientifically proven to prevent crystallization. Stone Stopper's patented formula is gentle on the stomach and is available in easy-to-swallow capsules, gummies, and powder drinks that make hydration delicious. Stone Stopper is available at participating Walmart and Walgreens stores. Look for the red stop sign on the bottom shelf of the vitamin aisle. For more information or to find a store near you, go to stonestopper.com.
Looking for fabulous food, atmosphere, and tradition? Make your reservation at Five Alls Restaurant today. The perfect place for a romantic dinner, birthday, or anniversary celebration. You'll love dining at the Five Alls.
At Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital, we made a bold promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Join us in realizing our vision for the future of pediatric care. So together, we can expand primary children's impact and ensure every child has access to the right care at the right place at the right time. For a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Help us continue to do so for the next 100 years. To get involved, visit primarypromise.org.
Traffic and weather together, again brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Looks like they've finally gotten that accident down in Lehigh out of the way, Heather.
Well, they have, but there's still a little bit of slowdown. It's just residual southbound I-15 between Main Street and Lehigh, and that on-ramp from Pioneer Crossing and American Fork. But now if you're northbound I-15 in the Bluffdale-Draper area, we have a crash on the on-ramp from 146 south, that's the Highland Drive area, to go northbound 15. Once you're on the freeway, there's another crash just before Bangerter Highway. That's over on the left shoulder. So all of that is causing a bit of slowing in the area. Everyone else is returning to normal freeway speeds. Start your dream kitchen or bath today at Bedrock Quartz, where it's only 7 days from template to installation. Visit new Murray or Spanish Fork showrooms or bedrockquartz.com. bedrockquartz.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny today, warmer with a high of 79. Matter of fact, how do you like 80s for the rest of the week? Going to be 59 tonight. Then tomorrow, a little bit warmer at 85, but we never get above 89 degrees all week long with only a 10% chance of showers. Sunny downtown this hour, 63 degrees at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
The race to replace. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
And in that race to replace, voter turnout right now in the 2nd Congressional District, about 25, 27%, depending on where you live. But typically voter turnout is pretty low, especially in like off-year elections when there's not a presidential candidate or race for the White House on the ballot. But we'll be lucky to hit 40%. What is it? Is it burnout? 801-575-TALK is the number to call.
Yeah, burnout. Boy, I absolutely could see that. I think, though, it's too complicated. Let me lay this out for you. Today is September 5th. This is a municipal primary. Unless your city has ranked choice voting, then you have to wait till November. But it's not the first Tuesday in November. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving for this 1 year.
Oh, okay.
And then whoever wins Chris Stewart's seat in November is going to have to go through the whole primary process again in March, 3 months after being elected or after being, placed in office.
Okay.
How do you keep this all straight? Either it's your hobby,
your cell phone
or
tells
it's your
you.
job, right? That's the only way you can follow this. It's too complicated.
Too complicated. I don't know. It would probably take us 2 hours here just in the show, wall to wall, talking through ways to uncomplicate it. But I just put this stuff in my cell phone and it alerts me. Like, I don't know that it has to be that complicated, but there are so many dates to remember. It's like trying to remember all your kiddos' birthdays, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I think it is so complicated, it gets overwhelming, so people don't participate.
Let's go to the phone lines. Dawn from Layton. Good morning. Why do you think turnout is low, low, low?
I have to agree with you. I think it's burnout. I think people are just sick and tired of hearing about Trump. They're sick and tired of hearing about Biden, all the bickering that goes back and forth. And it's, just turned people's minds off to politics, no matter how important it is, especially with this how important this election is that's coming up to replace Congressman Stewart. You have to be hiding under a rock if you haven't heard that he's stepping down. That's knowledge. And so the lesser, what we might call lesser elections, not that being a U.S. congressman is lesser, but it's not the main thing people are, that's in the news with Trump and Biden. But it's taking the beating because of that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just,
no, it is an absolutely critical race for folks in Utah, the people of the 2nd Congressional District, and it could largely determine who ends up serving for many terms to come. Because once you're an incumbent, it's practically impossible to get you out of office. So whoever the voters choose ultimately in November may end up having that seat. Was Congressman Stewart in for 10 years? So it could be a very long haul. That's why today is so critical that people get their ballots in.
Let's go to Clay in Sandy. What do you think, Clay?
I think part of the issue a lot of voters are having is the feeling that their votes don't count due to the gerrymandering, particularly here in Salt Lake County, where we have 4 congressional boundaries meeting on 33rd South and kind of breaking up Salt Lake County into 4 separate districts. I think people are frustrated when they see what's happened with the Count My Vote initiative, how that compromise is being threatened by the legislature every year. I think people are frustrated by seeing the ballot initiatives that have been put into place for fair boundaries and some of those initiatives being torn apart by the legislature. So I think there's just a lot of frustration. And the fact being that, the only way in Salt Lake County to really have any influence on the election is to vote in the Republican primary, because that person's going to be elected no matter what happens.
Clay, thank you for your thoughts. Paul and Murray, what do you think, Paul?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Hey, I have a unique perspective as I'm a candidate and I've been knocking doors and I've been talking to people, and I'm hearing 3 things from the people. Number one, I'm hearing ignorance on the issues of what city council does. I've had people talk to me about school lunches. What city council going to do about school lunches? My kid was served horrible food this last year. I've had people talk to me about apartment cleaning fees or moving in and out fees from apartment complexes. How city council is going to help with those fees for the apartment complex. Number 2, I'm getting a national topic filter. I knock on doors and people open the door, and the first thing they ask me is, "Did you vote for Trump?" That's the very first thing, and I'm sitting here going, this is a nonpartisan race. We're talking about pavement, streets, sewer, parks, and things like that. And you want to know if I voted for Trump or not. And number 3, they feel unheard and unimportant. They'll say things like, I reached out to city council in the past and nothing's ever happened. The fix is in. They're going to do whatever they want with or without my opinion. So those are my 3 reasons why people aren't voting.
Excellent perspective. Paul, thank you so much. Says he's a candidate in a municipal election, offering his insights on. I think there is a disconnect, and in some cases, it's not all our fault. There's just so much information coming at us all the time, all day long. And sometimes it can be a little complex to keep things separated. But come on. He's a candidate in a municipal election. Does it really matter to you? And these are nonpartisan elections by design. So it really matters to you if somebody cast a ballot for a certain presidential candidate. Are you going to care about that when there's a big pothole in front of your driveway or a city water main breaks again? Who that person voted for? No, you don't want the person who's going to get that job done.
I think, again, this almost speaks to the point I was making, is it's just so complicated. Do you know the role that your city council plays in your local government? Who is responsible for student lunches? Who's responsible for the potholes? And who's responsible for inflation?
It's not your city council who decides that your kids get Salisbury steak again this week. Julia in Fruit Heights, is there a sense of burnout when it comes to voting?
Hi. Not necessarily. I also have kind of a unique perspective. I'm actually a volunteer with Becky Edwards, and yesterday I made over 200 phone calls to registered Republican voters, and these are active voters that have voted in the past. And probably one of the most surprising phone calls that I talked to yesterday was a woman who said, I ripped up my ballot and I threw it in the garbage just because my vote doesn't matter. And I told her, I said, your vote absolutely 100% matters. It's so important. I said, I don't care that you threw your ballot away. Go down to your city hall tomorrow and cast your ballot in person. Other people said, I just, not caring about voting this year. But I said, even though if you've lost your ballot, it doesn't matter. Please go vote in person. Every vote's so important.
Julia, thank you. We appreciate that. There is a sense, and I understand it. I know there's frustration, but I think of all the government that goes on, the one that affects our lives the most, is this one. It's the municipal elections. It's what your mayor is doing, your city council is doing. This really impacts a lot of your day-to-day stuff, and I think it's crucial, but it is extra work. It's homework, and it's harder to learn about these candidates and know what they want to do and what they stand for, because they're probably the least polished of our politicians. So they don't necessarily play the game or answer it just the way you want. Maybe they're a little rough around the edges. But truly, Debbie, when I look at these municipal elections, I think, this is someone that's probably going to affect my street more than anybody else in politics.
Next, we got Governor Spencer Cox calling the show in about 4 minutes. And then Becky Edwards in the 10 o'clock hour, Bruce Huff in the 11 o'clock hour. Both Becky and Bruce running on the GOP ticket in the primary for the 2nd Congressional District. Already spoke to Celeste Malloy. She called at 9 a.m.
Dave and Dujanovic. Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
Hey, folks, let me tell you, when it comes to soft water in the Noriega household, we have loved it. We have loved it, and we've loved it for years. Every once in a while, we'll run out because I forget to put salt in the bin. Like, that's my one job in the family, is I got to just keep some salt in the water softener bin. But my kids can feel the difference. They can tell me, Dad, I think we're out of soft water. And sure enough, I'll go down and I'll check. And, yep, I forgot to put a little salt in. The reason I don't have to think about it very often is because my Kinetico water softener is so efficient when it comes to salt. It uses the third of the salt of everybody else. It's just the way it's designed. I only have to put it in every few months. It's very efficient, and we've loved having soft water in our house. So if you're interested in getting soft water, or you're not even quite sure what soft water does, go ahead and give Kinetico of Utah a call, 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600, or you can check out and learn more at softwaterutah.com.
It's me again, and of course, I'm at the annual Fall Extravaganza at J&J Garden Center in Layton. And what a great time to buy. Right now, all containerized trees, all shrubs, and all perennials are 20% off. You heard me right. J&J's entire inventory of containerized trees, shrubs, and perennials are 20% off their regular price. J&J Garden Center definitely has the best products at the best price, and most definitely the best service too. But don't take my word for it. Come experience J&J Garden Center for yourself. Take advantage of their incredible fall tree, shrub, and perennial extravaganza. Take the Layton Parkway exit, Main Street to Gentile, then west 2 miles. You've got to see it to believe it. You really do.
Country grown to your home. J&J Garden Center.
Hey guys, if you're a patient at another Wave clinic for ED, Revive will transfer your care for free. And for those that medically qualify, we'll give you 4 Wave treatments for free, plus a 1-month supply of ED medication when you start Wave treatment with us. Our Renaissance Wave therapy is proven, non-invasive, and far more affordable than other Wave clinics. Book your consultation today. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Found your dream house, but not your dream rate? Make your purchase with a home loan from Cypress Credit Union. Refinance within 12 months if rates drop, and Cypress Credit Union will take care of the refinancing fees. Imagine how inconvenient your life would be without power. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, and no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have the power when you need it most. Generac generators automatically provide backup after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Schedule a free quote today with Genco Generators, your premier Generac service dealer in Utah. Call 801-295-0872 or online at gencogenerators.net.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, it's primary day in Utah. Republicans will choose their pick for the 2nd Congressional District, with the winner facing a crowded slate of third-party candidates and the Democrat choice in November. Second, police say a chase involving a stolen Cadillac Escalade hit speeds over 100 miles an hour as it went from Lehigh into Sandy on I-15. They stopped the car with spike strips. And third, the United Auto Workers wants a 46% pay raise and a 32-hour work week. If they can't reach a deal with automakers by September 14th, the union says workers will strike. We'll look for a high today of 79 degrees and right now a beautiful 63 downtown. As we get you back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
The race to replace in-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
Dave and I were having, this is kind of stuff that two co-hosts laugh about. When we were talking about earlier the why you don't vote, because right now we have a 25% turnout, at least in the 2nd Congressional District. Maybe it'll get to 40, fingers crossed. We were talking to a candidate in a municipal race just moments ago, and the municipal races, as you know, the city council races, that turnout will be even lower, Dave, than 40%. And he was saying how he goes door to door, and people are like, yeah, let me tell you about my kid's school lunch and how you can fix that. And we're
like, I'm running for city council. I have nothing to do with that.
Like the Salisbury steak or corn dog issue, that is the school board. But people are just, I don't know, it's a head scratcher to me. How can you be that confused? But it's an important day. Today's a special election day. No matter which way you slice it, you got to vote today, or it's your vote. You won't get a chance to vote. Polls close tonight at 8 o'clock. You've got to have your ballots postmarked by 8 o'clock. Walk it into the post office and make sure you watch them actually stamp it so you know it gets processed.
In defense of the overwhelmed, Debbie, I must say, 8th grade civics class was a long time ago. It's hard to keep track of who's responsible. I just have some complaints, and I want somebody to hear me. Joining us right now, Governor Spencer Cox. And Governor, I just have to say, I was looking at all the ways you've served publicly. Started off as a city council member, mayor, county commissioner, state legislator, lieutenant governor, and now governor. My goodness, you've seen it from the ground up.
Well, David, the good news is if you're looking for someone to complain to, I'm your guy. So just complain away.
Yeah, my kids want mashed potatoes with that corn dog, sir. Oh, you weren't actually on the school board.
I get that a lot. I really do. All things, from stuff at the federal level to stuff at the local school board. The governor can fix it all. So I'm happy to go.
I love it.
But in all sincerity, it is a really important day, and I'm really glad you brought up the local races, because we are kind of focused on the special election, the 2nd district race. Of course, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for our state, especially if you live in the 2nd district. But city council, I've always said this, having served on a city council and as a mayor, those races impact you far more than what your member of Congress does. We used to say in political science that all politics is local. I don't think that's true anymore. It seems like all politics is now national, unfortunately. I don't think that's healthy. But your local city council member has a far greater impact on your day-to-day life than anybody else in politics.
What questions should I be asking? If I'm doing my research, if I'm looking for something, and it's a little harder to research city council candidates or mayoral candidates because they don't have the polished machine of the larger races. How would you recommend I go about doing that research, and what questions should I be asking?
Sure. Well, the good news is because there is such low turnout, I mean, you can usually talk to these people. You got to give them a call, and they'll answer your questions. I always encourage people now. Almost everyone has a social media account, so I encourage them to go to their Facebook account, go to their Twitter or X account, whatever we call it now, and spend some time getting to know the candidate, just who they are, kind of what they believe in. If they're just talking about national issues, then they're not going to be a good city council member. Unfortunately, that's kind of where we are. I'm always looking for issues that are close to us. I mean, what are we doing with growth in our city? Are we prepared for, the water issues that are impacting our local municipalities? What are they going to do with if you're in one of the bigger cities with the homelessness issue? Those are really local issues and things that people should be concerned about. So again, what is the impact impact to you and your family? And those are the questions that you should be asking, and those are the questions the candidates should be focused on.
Governor Spencer Cox live on the line with us, taking a few minutes today to talk about primary election day. Lots of municipal elections on the ballot today, as well as a second congressional district race, at least on the GOP side of things. Right now, it's primary day for the three Republican candidates vying for the nomination, or the next, I guess, so they move up to the general election if they get out of this race with enough votes. Governor, I just have to think, what kind of a world do we live in? I feel like I'm settling when I say, 40%, 45%, or even 60%. Wow, what a great turnout. I mean, I'm justifying something that should be like 99.9%, not half of that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's always a little disheartening. I will say that, back in the 60s, Utah led the nation when it came to voter turnout. And then over time, we started going down to where, when I took over as lieutenant governor, we were in the bottom 5 of states for turnout. Now, the good news is over the past decade, we've significantly increased turnout. We've moved into the top 15, around 11, 12, I think, in a couple elections. Obviously, those are more general elections and presidential elections. They in every state, they go down when you're starting to look at municipality elections. This is a special election, kind of a weird timing a little bit. We are not used to voting in the first week in September, so a little different here. But obviously, just so very, very important. I do think those numbers will come up fairly significantly, because what we do see is in a low information election, people tend to wait until later to turn their ballots in. They want to get as much information as possible. They don't know the candidates. They're not sure who they're going to vote for in the second district. That's the one we're watching with turnout right now. So I do think you'll see those numbers. I'm hoping we get north of 50%, but that's a pretty low bar and something I'm not really proud of. So really, people go out and vote. Again, it has to be postmarked today, but even better, go and just hand it in. You can hand it in at any actual polling location. You can hand it in a drop box as well. Or just you can go vote in person if that's your thing. Get out there, do your civic duty. It's the lowest bar. We live in this incredible nation, and the opportunity to vote is foundational to preserving this democratic republic that we hold so dear.
Governor, one thing that I saw that kind of shocked me was some polling done for the 2nd Congressional District, and it was nearly half of people, just a few weeks out, a month out, still didn't know who they were going to vote for. Are you an endorsement guy? Do you believe in endorsements? Do you like them? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think endorsements are usually that helpful, honestly. We've looked at the numbers. There's a lot of political science around endorsements. Do they help? Do they not help? They help in some races. This is one area where they might be helpful, again, at a local level, because it's such a low information election. Most people do not know who these candidates are. I mean, one of the candidates, Becky, she did run against Mike Lee for Senate, so she has higher name ID. I think that's why in that poll you saw her coming out higher than the others. That to me just says that's just a name ID, because it's so many people were undecided. I think as people get to know, and you're going to hear a lot of officials are supporting us. They have a comfort level with her. She lives in rural Utah. This is a more rural district than the other 3 congressional districts, and so a lot of local public official support. So county commissioners have all kind of lined behind Celeste. Then you have Bruce Huff, who has a famous name, right? He's got 2 kids that are celebrities, Dancing with the Stars, and have been in movies. And he's been, at least in Republican politics, he's been the national committee man for a while. So at least that last name is familiar to them. But I have to tell you, honestly, I've seen polling from different camps and parties. I have absolutely no idea who's going to win today. I can't usually say that. I think all 3 of them have a legit chance to win today, and I won't be surprised if any one of them comes out the victor. We probably won't know tomorrow, because I think it is going to be close. I think it's going to be split 3 ways fairly evenly. And so it could take several days as those late votes come in, people who vote today by mail, we collect all those, we count all those, and that takes a few days.
Governor Spencer Cox, thanks for taking some time and joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Governor. Appreciate it. Becky Edwards up next. She's calling the show. Got lots of questions for her. Bruce Huff lined up as well in the 11 o'clock hour.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. A man from Colorado is dead after an accident at the Coral Pink Sand Dune State Park over the holiday weekend. State park officials say Abel Ocampo was driving an off-highway vehicle that he'd rented when he lost control and rolled. He was killed and a passenger suffered minor injuries, as did a witness who tried to lift the vehicle off Ocampo. Starting in the spring, students could earn a bachelor's degree online in just 3 years at BYU Idaho or Ensign College. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Harris has details.
Through BYU Pathway Worldwide, these two colleges will only require 90 credit hours to graduate instead of the usual 120. Hours are reduced by eliminating electives and requiring only 30 classes instead of the current 40.
BYU Idaho will offer 5 degrees with this reduced category, including software development and applied health. Ensign College will offer 2 degrees in communications or information technology. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. First Lady Jill Biden has contracted COVID-19 just days before President Biden leaves for the G20 summit in India. The White House says the First Lady's symptoms are mild. She's recovering at the Biden's beach house in Delaware. More from ABC News White House correspondent Selena Wang.
President Joe Biden is now 80 years old. He already had COVID once last summer, including a rebound case. The Bidens, they were last seen together on Saturday, touring the storm damage together in Florida. On Monday, President Biden left their beach home in Delaware without the First Lady, giving a Labor Day speech in Philadelphia. As of this morning, the president is still scheduled to travel to India on Thursday for a major international summit.
And your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day, 44 points right now. The NASDAQ is down 10 points at this hour. And our KSL weather, the storms are over for now. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:02.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
They say good things come to those who wait, but we both know the truth. If you want the good things in life, you've got to go out and get them. So if you've been dreaming of a Cadillac, don't wait. Head to Jerry Seiner Cadillac and get one for yourself. With their award-winning XT4, 5, and 6 models available on-site and the area's top selection of certified pre-owned Cadillacs, there's no need to wait to drive in luxury. Stop dreaming, start driving. Visit Jerry Seiner and experience the Seiner difference.
Suicide claims the lives of 800,000 beautiful souls each year, making it the second leading cause of death worldwide for teens and young adults. But we have the power to change that. Go to promisetolive.org right now and promise that if you're ever feeling sad, depressed, hopeless, or suicidal, that you'll reach out to a friend, family member, 988, or another resource. Studies show if you make a promise ahead of time, you're 60 to 80% more likely to keep it. Once you make the promise, please click share to help stop the stigma and save lives.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
If that sound gives you nightmares, there's a cheap and easy way to avoid engines not firing. Stable, America's #1 fuel stabilizer, ensures quick and easy starts after storage. Stable's proprietary formula keeps fuel fresh for 2 years, outperforming competitors. Pour Stable in your gas can or directly into the tank of your car, truck, hybrid, boat, ATV, motorcycle, or lawnmower to prevent fuel-related engine problems that cost time and money. When you store, start with Stable.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the good news is most of the delays on the I-15 corridor have cleared out from the earlier commute, but we do have a crash southbound I-15 right at the exit ramp to University Parkway in Orem. That has caused a lot of congestion on that exit ramp itself. And for those of you in Saratoga Springs, we have traffic lights that are not working properly. This is at the intersection of Redwood Road and Crossroads Boulevard, so you need to treat that as a four-way stop. Join the Utah Symphony for the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today. Tickets start at $21. Get yours today at utahsymphony.org. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny and cool, a high only up to 79. Then it warms up through the rest of the week with highs close to 90 by Friday. Right now, 64 degrees and sunny at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM at KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
David Dujanovic. The race to replace. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
It is primary election day, and as KSL always does, KSL News Radio, our staff reporters and producers, it's a big day lined up. Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson. He'll have special primary day coverage on Inside Sources on the race to replace. He's going to take a deep dive on the race to replace Congressman Chris Stewart. He's got some in-depth reporting that he's promising to deliver during his show from 1 to 3. And Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, you're going to ride along with Jeff. And KSL News Radio's Lindsay Aerts will be out live covering the Salt Lake County races. We got a lot of municipal races in Salt Lake County, and the 2nd Congressional District is in Salt Lake County as well. And then KSL at Night. Big show tonight from 7 to 9. That's when the first results will start to drop, so you'll want to have it right here on 102.7 FM, or you can tell Alexa to play KSL News Radio and listen to those results as they pour in.
And boy, how times have changed over the last few years. When we get this first dump of numbers of ballots, we're going to see or have a very, very good idea, I think, where a lot of people land. That's kind of exciting. But that being said, it's going to trickle in for a few days, several days before we have a really good idea, I think, of who the winners in these elections are going to be.
One of the 3 candidates in the 2nd Congressional District on the GOP ticket on the primary today, Becky Edwards, on the line with us right now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for jumping on the line with us. We know today's a big day. We talked to Celeste Malloy earlier. Bruce Huff is joining the show as well. Becky, the last poll that we looked at, I maybe the only poll in the 2nd Congressional District by the Deseret News and the Hinckley Institute of Politics, put that 47% of people undecided. Have you been out talking to the undecideds?
We have been out talking to the undecideds. You know, since the very first part of this campaign, it's been very compressed, as you know, fewer than 100 days. I think that's a pretty unusual thing. But it's a great privilege to just get going, meeting with people around the district. And there are 13 counties, and of course, we've been in every single county numerous times, meeting in small and large groups, talking about their concerns and answering questions, kind of hearing how there is a real alignment with a shared vision to what I like to call take a little bit more of the Utah way to Washington, D.C. And this is something that I found when I was serving in the Utah House for 10 years, is that people just really want you to work on their issues. They want you to solve problems for themselves, for their families, and over, that's what I'm hearing, whether it's Wasatch Front or Southern Utah. And I think the uniformity of issues is more common than I think people think. I think there's some discussion about, is there a divide in northern and southern part of this district? And I would say absolutely not. I think the desire for a bright future for our kids and our families is shared by every single Utahn across this district.
You've called yourself, or at least in your campaign, I've heard you referred to as the common sense Republican. What does that mean?
I think a common sense Republican, common sense conservative is someone who certainly is embedded in principles like I am, and shares a lot of the values here in Utah that tie us together, but goes about working on these issues in a way that is collaborative, that brings people together, and is always sort of solutions-based. And I think this is always been a focus of mine personally and professionally as a marriage and family therapist. And then as politically, I found that the most effective model for getting things done really was having a big table, bringing all people who were interested, stakeholders, certainly government folks, but everyday Utahns who had personal experiences with the bills and the issues we were talking about, to be able to share their real stories. What were their challenges? How were the issues and the policies we were discussing, how those would really impact their families for real? And I think we came up with some better solutions because of that, whether that was on ways to balance the budget, on housing affordability, immigration, environmental stewardship. These were things that I led out on during my 10 years of service. And I think it's something that it does. I think common sense is the right way to look at it, because it's less about the hyper politicization that I think a lot of people are sort of frustrated with right now and disappointed. People just want you to get to work and get things done.
Becky Edwards is a candidate in the 2nd Congressional District for the GOP nod, and whoever wins in the primary today will move on to the general election in November. Becky, you did not participate in a number of debates that Celeste Malloy and Bruce Huff participated in, including one that was hosted here at KSL at Broadcast House, hosted by and at KSL. Why did you decide not to participate in those debates?
You know, we were thrilled to participate in the first 2 debates that were part of the party's process at the beginning of this campaign. And from the minute we got on the ballot, we set a strategy and a plan for being in every single county. And like I say, meeting with folks around the district, that has been such an important thing to me in my previous service in the House. That's why every Saturday during the legislative session when I served in the House, I'd have people in my living room come in and share. We'd have bagels, we'd sit around, we'd talk about the challenges, sometimes complaints about what we were doing, but mostly about reasoning together to try and solve problems. And so when we were making a plan, that was top of my mind, was being in the places where the voters were. And this meant being from, Kane County all the way to St. George, up to Tooele County and down the Wasatch Front. It's just been so important for me. And as an prior elected official, I know the value of going to where folks are, listening to their stories, and then figuring out how we're going to solve problems together. And it is a tremendous privilege to run for office. I can't say enough congratulatory things about all of the people whose names are on the ballot today. Of course, I'm concerned with the ballot for Congressional District 2 and hoping that we come out the victors this evening. But I want to give a shout out to all the people whose names are on the races, city council members, mayoral races, and how much I appreciate their participating in this great American experiment. And the great people of the Congressional District 2 and Utahns across the state who are choosing to be civically engaged by voting. And I guess that would be a very important message today for all Utahns is please go out and vote. If you're unsure where you go or anything else, the vote.utah.gov website is so useful. And as a nod to all of the folks who are involved in our elections here in Utah, from the volunteers who are manning the election sites to the lieutenant governor's office, we have some of the most safe and secure elections anywhere in the country, and I'm so grateful for all who are involved in the process.
Becky Edwards, thank you for joining us, candidate for Congressional District 2. It's the GOP primary. So if you're a registered Republican, if you live in Congressional District 2, you can vote for Becky Edwards, Bruce Huff, or Celeste Malloy.
Next, we're going to take a look at, oh my goodness, here's the title of our next discussion. Old age in Washington. Who named that story?
It's the age-old question, Deb.
Old age. I think we all know what that means by now. Are politicians too old? Do we need to have some sort of a mandatory cap on how old they are in order? You said we do have our age requirement to run for office.
Yeah, you have to be old enough, but you can't be too old, apparently.
Next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-new station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
Before you head to work. Before you hit the gym.
Keep going. That's it.
Before you make your way home.
Bye.
Get a quick check on traffic and weather.
PD on the scene at 8 South and West Temple.
Highway 89 also really backed up.
Listen every 10 minutes on the 9s. In your car at 102.7 FM. Or tell Alexa, play KSL News Radio.
Hey, folks, if you're thinking about doing a little electrical work, before you shock yourself across the room, I just want you to take a pause and just make sure that you don't need to call Master Electrical.
I've done a lot of DIY. Electrical is not in my wheelhouse, so I always need help when it comes to electrical, and Master Electrical is your go-to. Dave and I sat down with them. We both were totally on board with what they said about their upfront pricing system. The price you get quoted upfront is the price you pay at the end of the service that they provide, whether it's can lights in the ceiling you've been wanting or ceiling fans, or maybe you need an EV charger because you just bought a new EV. Master Electrical, absolutely give them a call.
Yeah, if that smoke detector is still beeping at you, they can help you out with that. Make sure that's wired up so you don't have to change the batteries every 2 minutes.
And I love this, that they're always open, including for emergency services. So the number to call, 866-569-0860.
From Logan to Santaquin, check out more and learn about Master Electrical at masterelectrical.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Becky Bruce joining us in studio right now with breaking news. What do you have, Beck?
Yeah, Salt Lake City police and fire are both on the scene of what appears to be a body in the Jordan River. It's near the Rose Park Golf Course. So the police and fire crews are there right now trying to recover the body from the water. We have a reporter on the way to the scene, but there's very little information right now. We don't know an age of the victim. We don't know whether it's a male or a female. So those are all details that we're hoping to learn in the next little bit as our reporter arrives there on the scene near the Rose Park Golf Course in the Jordan River.
Becky Bruce, thank you for the update.
As the weather turns colder, this is when you need to get those new windows. So call Advanced Window Products. They'll replace your single-pane, rickety old windows with stylish, state-of-the-art double-pane windows with precision frames. You pick the style and color. They're custom-made right here in Salt Lake City. This company is so Utah. It's run by two guys who grew up here, Jake Weber and Utes defensive star Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sacktown with 7 NFL seasons under his belt. Great guys, great company building high-quality windows for 37 years. Windows. Unlike other companies, they build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. No middleman. There's Jake, Nate, and their team, and there's you. Saving on the highest quality windows. Right now, before winter, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more, and they offer 60 months, 0% financing. So call Advanced Window Products now. You could have stylish new windows in 8 weeks. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100 or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Experience over 80 original art pieces from prominent local to emerging artists amidst a backdrop of natural beauty. Art at the Park, September 8th and 9th at This Is the Place Heritage Park.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a man was killed in an accident at the Coral Pink Sand Dunes in Kane County over the weekend. Second, 2 colleges affiliated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have a new bachelor's degree program that students can finish in 3 years. And third, First Lady Jill Biden has tested positive for COVID, while President Biden is negative. He's getting ready for an international trip. Right now, 64 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
And Dujanovic.
It's the age-old question about old age in Washington, D.C. Is that the ABC News?
That's the headline.
That's
it was
the
awesome.
headline. I
The
love it.
age-old question about old age in Washington.
So it continues because of what happened with Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. It was like twice in the last couple of weeks. He just absolutely like froze. These are the instances that we've seen. We don't know, of course, in what's going on behind the scenes, but then he just freezes during like a news conference or during a press briefing.
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Here's what happens. This was last week.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
There's a report from CNN that said the Capitol Hill attending physician checked on Senator McConnell and said there's no evidence of stroke, seizure disorder, or movement disorder like Parkinson's disease.
So you think old age is a big deal?
It's a big deal in some ways. Once you lose trust, we've all have parents and grandparents that we absolutely trust and revere, even in old age. The problem comes is when you start experiencing or seeing a decline. And I think Mitch McConnell's freeze is a great example of that. We've seen this with President Joe Biden as well, where we see where some of this trust starts eroding away because of their behavior.
68 times, 68 hours, 68 times, more than 68 hours. All right, God save the Queen, man.
Now listen, you can have a few stumbles and gaffes, but at some point, the behavior becomes so out of character that you can't ignore it any longer. And I think there are definitely politicians right now from both parties that have lost my trust.
Lots of polling out on this, and the majority of Americans are saying, or who are polled, the latest, I'm looking at the Hill, a poll conducted between at the end of August, so the last week of August, found 73% of registered voters think the statement that Biden is too old to run for president describes him very or somewhat well. Who are the 25% who don't think? I mean, I guess, is that ageism to think that somebody is too old to run? I mean, what is the cutoff, and what do we do about it? And if we thought he was too old now, why did we elect him then?
Well, things change, and I think that's part of this conversation that is so fascinating to me. Is sure, we can look at the two leading candidates, Biden and Trump, right now, and say, "Oh, it's just a rematch of 2020." Well, no, this is different. These are different candidates, even though they're the same name. It's different. We've seen how President Biden has been, and we see some of the struggles. Now that you look at those numbers, and 77% of folks have lost trust in President Biden because of his age. Well, less than half of people, 48%, have that same concern with the former President Trump. Why is Trump, who's 77 years old, and Biden 80 years old, why is there such a difference? It's because of the way they act. You listen to President Trump, and you may not like what he says. You may not agree with his policies or the way he speaks, but I don't feel like I'm listening to a man that is struggling with his thoughts. Whereas when I listen to President Biden, I think, you know what, that there's some old age showing. And I don't think it's ageist. I think it's honest. When we get older, things start happening, and we can't ignore them.
So what do you do about it besides, hey, you're too old? You know, you got to. What's the next step? We talk about this a lot.
Yeah,
we've talked about this for years on this show. No matter who it is, we were talking about this with Senator Orrin Hatch. It's like, you know, he stayed in forever, but he kept winning overwhelmingly. What do you do? Do you just put in and say, okay, no, anybody over, and what's the right age? 75, 70? And what if the cognitive ability starts to decline in your 50s?
Yeah. And Deb, you've shared this before. You had a dear friend that had early onset Alzheimer's.
In his 50s.
Yeah, so it can happen at any time.
Yeah, it was ongoing for 10 years.
What I think is important is not to necessarily, in my opinion, put a number on it. I don't want to see a number, because we've seen people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s do wonderful things and be great leaders. But the fact is, age gets all of us. Father Time is undefeated. We all die, we get old, and the chances are the older you get, the more mental deficiencies start to present themselves. It's silly to not be able to say that.
Let's pick these apart. Let's say competency test. Oh, that's great. So you elect a senator, and they take a competency test, and I guess before you run for office, so we know you're competent enough to be on the ballot. Well, then you're in for 6 years, and things change in that 6 years. Then what do you do with them? What do? Do you let them ride it out? Do they get sick? Something happens? See, there's no perfect solution. Age limit is also not a perfect solution, because people have plenty of issues pop up, unfortunately, throughout their lives at much younger ages that may make them hard for them to serve, and the demands of the job. And physical, I mean, how is that? Doing physicals, is that a proposed solution? What good is I've had physicals that don't catch things. You know, and a couple of weeks later, I end up going back in because I've got, another issue going on. So a physical isn't a surefire way of ensuring that somebody's in perfect health either.
Well, I think you're never going to find something that is comprehensive. We can only do the best we can with the information that is presented. And if you're going to be in an important position, a high-power position, where you are making life and death decisions, then we should have a good understanding of your mental competency and your physical health. That is not too far.
I think it's garbage in, garbage out, Dave. It's just garbage in. I mean, there's
you don't trust the stuff that'll get to us?
Everybody, in the timeline of life, things change so quickly for somebody. So what we know today about a candidate is not a guarantee that by the time they get into office, or get sworn in, that things aren't going to start showing, like mental decline. I think it's just garbage in, garbage out. I think it makes you feel better, but at the end of the day, I don't know that it proves anything. I've always felt this, like you have the power to decide if somebody should be term limited, right? I mean, you have the ability to vote.
But if someone is concealing a health problem, we don't have that kind of access. We need to know that. And we need the full disclosure of somebody's health, both mental and physical.
Well, I'm not convinced that's going to show you much of anything. Like, how do I even know the doctor they hired? You know what I mean? Like, what are you looking at when if somebody gets up on a podium and says, I'm perfectly healthy. Look at my blood pressure's fine. My cholesterol's great. My blood sugars are level. My heart rate is normal. I took a competency test and I got the alphabet right. What are you looking at? I mean, do you know that's...
I like all of that, Deb.
Yeah, but that's not the end of it. I think it's
a good starting point.
You're looking for an oversimplification to a very, very complex problem, and health is complex. There's no one test that's going to tell you that a candidate is perfectly healthy for that job.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. Our top story, we have breaking news right now. Salt Lake City Police say they're working with the fire department to recover a body from the Jordan River. This is near the Rose Park Golf Course. They haven't said anything else yet, including how old the victim is or whether it's a man or a woman. KSL News Radio has a reporter on the way. We'll update you when we have more information. Not everybody got a ballot ahead of today's Republican 2nd Congressional District primary. Only people who live in the 2nd District and are registered as Republicans would have gotten one automatically.
Also, though, anybody that lives within those boundaries and is unaffiliated, they can go and vote in person and affiliate same day and have their voice heard in that CD2 race.
Salt Lake County Clerk Lenny Chapman tells Utah's Morning News if you haven't dropped your ballot off yet, it can be dropped off today or mailed as long as it's postmarked by 8 p.m. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We had a cool and rainy holiday weekend in the West, but scorching heat is expected across the rest of the country this week. ABC News Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z.
Heat advisories into Texas, and it stays that way. We're looking to do our official first heat wave of the season, which is really late here in New York. Looks like we could make it as long as we hit 90 today, and should. And then it starts to warm back up after what was a brief cool down in Florida, Texas, staying in the 100s.
ABC meteorologist Ginger Z. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day, 51 points. The NASDAQ has turned a corner and it's back up, but just about 4 points is all. And our KSL weather, we're done with the rain, at least in northern Utah, and it'll be warming up this week. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's me again, and of course, I'm at the annual Fall Extravaganza at J&J Garden Center in Layton. And what a great time to buy. Right now, all containerized trees, all shrubs, and all perennials are 20% off. You heard me right. J&J's entire inventory of containerized trees, shrubs, and perennials are 20% off their regular price. J&J Garden Center definitely has the best products at the best price and most definitely the best service too. But don't take my word for it. Come experience J&J Garden Center for yourself. Take advantage of their incredible fall tree, shrub, and perennial extravaganza. Take the Layton Parkway exit, Main Street to Gentile, then west 2 miles. You've got to see it to believe it. You really do.
Country grown to your home.
J&J Garden Center.
Hey guys, are you over 30? Let's talk about testosterone and performance. Your testosterone can decline at an average of 1 to 2% a year after you turn 30. And Revive Men's Health have been experts at treating men with low testosterone and ED since 2011. We're the clinic guys come to when their current treatment isn't working. They have a complicated medical condition, or they're just not happy with their performance. We love what we do and the patients we care for. You can ask our patients. We did, and we have a 99% patient satisfaction rate this year. Our patients even tell us we're more affordable than their insurance deductibles and copays. Let's get to the bottom of your issues and fix them. That's what we do, and we do it really well. Book your T-Check and exam today. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or send us a private message at revivemenshealth.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, there's not a lot of delays across the major freeways along the Wasatch Front. So I-15, the east and west side belt routes, 201 freeway, they're all traveling at speed right now. City streets, most of them are in good shape. We have had a few accidents called out. There might be a little bit of congestion in some areas, but overall, it's a really good drive. If you want a heating and air company using third-party verification over their work, that's one of the highest rated on both Google and Yelp. Call at your service pros 801-YOUR-PRO. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny and cool with a high only up to 79 today. Warms up through the rest of the week with highs close to 90 by Friday. And right now, it's 66 degrees with sunny skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic.
If you're a homeowner, you know what the sticker shock is like when you get your property tax notice or your mortgage company contacts you and says your monthly mortgage is going up. Property taxes in Utah have skyrocketed over the last 20 years, and we're so grateful to our friends at the Deseret News. Katie McKellar wrote a very in-depth article that we found at Deseret.com on property taxes in Utah and why they're so unpredictable.
Yeah, I think it's the unpredictability that is so infuriating about property taxes. I want to know exactly what it's costing. I want to know where it's going. But over the last several years, it has fluctuated so much.
So back in 2003, so we got to go back 20 years, according to Deseret News Research, you got home was about $147,500.
Let that sink in for a minute.
Now it's about $515,000. And if you don't know this, just a quick lesson, your property taxes are, I'm sure somebody who is an expert at this would say they're loosely tied to the value of your home, but basically they've gone up 145%. And a lot of that is really based on the increase in the value of your home.
Yes, absolutely. And property taxes are one tax that I cannot prepare for. I know that if I buy something, I'm going to get hit with a 7% sales tax. I know that the state income tax is a flat rate. Everybody gets hit at 4.85%. But my property tax, that is a mystery because, like you said, Deb, not only is it tied to the value of my home, but from year in and year out, depending on what bonds we've passed and what is, coming in and where they've had to raise taxes for sewer or water, whatever it might be, you get this constant fluctuation.
Here's one example. Let me bounce this off you. In Katie's article in the Deseret News, she talked to this guy. His name's Seth. It says last year, Seth Cox was shocked by the jump to his Linden Homes property tax bill. Okay, Linden is in Utah County. Its value the home value went from $624,000 about in 2021 to $939,000 in 2022. And if the Alpine School District it gets its 19% increase or 20% increase, whatever they're looking for, his tax bill would have gone up like $1,000 a year over the last couple of years, almost $1,000 more a year. So what is that, about $75-$80 more a month? Yeah. So that's just one example. I'm sorry, Seth, I'm sure your home is beautiful, but whose home is valued at $950,000 in this state? That's where my mind goes. What are we doing here that homes are valued at that much? That's the sticker shock for me. The property tax bill comes along with it. But my goodness, that's a lot of money for a home.
Well, and if you think things are bad here in Utah, every state has a different tax system. So some states don't have a sales tax or an income tax, and it falls on property taxes. Let me give you an example. In Texas, where I think they don't have state, sales tax or income tax? One of the two they don't have.
It's income.
I think it's state income tax. Yeah. Their property taxes are $10,000 a year compared to our $3,000 a year on average, $3,300 a year on average. So part of this is understanding, okay, well, here in Utah, it's a little bit different than everybody else. So what speaks to the fluctuation? And one of the things I learned in this article, Debbie, is residential versus commercial properties. And residential properties, it seems, according to Katie's article in the Deseret News, Katie McKellar's article, is residential, we have better numbers. We have a better idea of how much your home should cost. We look at square footage. We look at the area. We have a pretty good idea how much your home is worth. Whereas commercial properties, there's a little bit more of a question mark because there isn't quite that turnover like there is in residential properties.
But I'm not paying on a commercial property.
Right, but the commercial properties make up a good chunk of our property taxes.
I've always heard that commercial properties carry much of the tax burden for the rest of us, like residential. Like we suck cities dry, when you own a home, because they got to pick up your trash and they got to pick up your recycle and they got to deal with the water and whatever else it's on the city's agenda and menu to deal with homeowners. But the thing is I think where people are really upset is there's just no good way to know. It comes as a surprise, and then. Like, have you dared to go in and try to debate it with the Oz, the guy behind the curtain, the gal behind the curtain at City Hall or the county assessor's office? You're like, hey, all I know is what my neighbor's home sold for, I think, because that all information is hard to get to unless you're a real estate agent, so I don't really know ultimately. I mean, they told me it sold for this, and then this. It's just this big. I would never go in. I'm a pretty bold individual. Yeah. I would just never go in and argue what my property tax rate is with some guy or gal that's got all the numbers. I just wouldn't do that. So I kind of just pay it.
No, I
throw
think,
my hands up.
Debbie, I think you are absolutely every Utahn around, because we're not diving into the numbers. But fundamentally, we have to understand, and this is something I don't think I really knew until reading this article, is that the city governments, they set their budget, and then they basically have to tax to meet that budget. And they will fund, they have to, right? Of course, they're going to pay for school and trash collection. And so they have to be able to say, okay, I'm working off this budget. You guys got to figure out, what the proper tax rate is to make sure that we have enough money to pay for all of this.
Well, we were hoping to get Senator Dan McKay on the line. He looked like, when reading the article in the Deseret News, that he had some ideas floating around for some solutions. But apparently he became suddenly unavailable. So maybe we can continue this discussion with him another day when he can call the show. Next, you wanted to say something, Dave?
Oh, I was just going to say, are you curious about any other states and what they pay for property taxes?
No, because I don't live there. I don't okay.
Maybe it'll make you feel. It might make you feel a little a little
my
bit
property
better.
taxes came in at $3,000 about.
Okay, that's about average. And if you're living in Wyoming, it's going to be similar to that as well. But if you go to Oregon, that's about $5,300 in taxes. If you want to go up into Colorado, it's about $3,000, so a little lower than us.
Yeah, but they don't collect, like in Oregon, I don't think they collect state sales tax or something like that. So it's not an apples to apples comparison. You know, if you move to some states like Texas, you're going to pay more in property taxes, but I just verified Texas has no state income tax.
Yeah, no state income tax.
So it's hard to do an apples to apples comparison unless you go through the list of all of the taxes each state charges. But the thing is I just know how much I'm going to pay, and I know it's gone up from last year. You know, so I guess it'll keep going up because I'm not going to go fight the odds behind the curtain for a lower tax rate on my property. I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9
on KSL.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
September means it's time for Any Hour Services free furnace sale. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and as summer comes to a close and falls right around the corner, the weather gets, well, perfect. And when the weather's perfect, people need a little extra incentive to replace their heating and cooling system. That's where Any Hour Services free furnace sale comes in. For the month of September, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. And there's no catch. There's no raising the price on the air conditioner first. There's no making you buy the most expensive air conditioner to qualify. There's none of that. There's just a desire to keep our technicians working while the weather's mild and a genuine appreciation of you for helping us keep them busy. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner and want to know exactly how much you can save during our free furnace sale, call Any Hour Services today and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
At Intermountain Primary Children's Hospital, we made a bold promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Join us in realizing our vision for the future of pediatric care. So together, we can expand primary children's impact and ensure every child has access to the right care at the right place at the right time. For a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Help us continue to do so for the next 100 years. To get involved, visit primarypromise.org.
Visit Serenoni Luxury Blanket Warehouse Sale, Wednesday, September 6th at Orion Event Center in Linden. Save on the world's softest blankets for babies to adults. Get huge discounts on the best gifts ever.
Hi, this is Cameron Rising. Growing up, summer break was the best, but I've learned that a lot of kids don't feel the same. That's because summer means their school breakfast and lunch won't be available. What's awesome is the food bank helps. Join me and Les Olson IT by giving food, time, or money. Take your donations to any Les Olson IT branch or the food bank and find more info at lesolson.com/food. Let's support our community together.
Boyd Matheson on the pitfalls of politics. If we want to be an informed news consumer, you have to differentiate between politics and policy. The politics usually is playing to the emotional space. Often we've been conditioned to react inappropriately to anger, fear, frustration, and so on.
Policy is always about solutions. You may not agree with it in terms of the path to get there, but that's okay, because you can have a policy discussion based on principles. When you get to the politics, it's more about attacking the other side, demonizing or weaponizing the words of an opponent or someone that you disagree with, or just having contempt that the other side isn't just wrong, but they're wrong and evil. Policy never gets into that space. Policy is, here's a way to get a result. Here's a path to do it. You don't have to agree, but that path is always going to lead you to the best solution.
Join Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Join KSL News Radio's Amanda Dixon at the grand opening of the new Bedrock Courts location in Murray. That's Wednesday, September 6th from 1 to 4, bedrockcourts.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, not everybody got ballots in the mail for today's Republican primary. Only registered Republicans in the 2nd Congressional District or those with primary election races in their cities. Second, police wound up spiking the tires of a stolen Cadillac Escalade after a chase that hit speeds over 100 miles an hour. And third, Salt Lake City police and firefighters working to recover a body from the Jordan River this morning. Right now, 66 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
It's hot strike summer. I think we made that up. Hot strike summer. Auto workers in Detroit overwhelmingly voting to let leaders call the balls and strikes against the auto company. Strike is looming against 3 major companies.
I've never heard of one of them. I've heard of GM. I've heard of Ford. Never heard of, what is it, Stellantis? Who in the world is Stellantis?
I'm going to look up and see what kind of car Stellantis. It's Stellantis.
The lost company of Stellantis. Contracts between the union. They represent about 150,000 workers.
Wait till I tell you. I'm just so excited to see your reaction when I tell you how much of a pay increase these auto workers want. Like, I think, you know what? It's the year of the strike. It is the year of the labor union. Y'all should go for it. Strike while the iron is hot. I think you're going to think a lot differently. But what's just in general, Dave, without... I'm not asking you to bash anybody here, but what do you think about labor unions in general? I don't know that I've ever dragged that out of you.
I'm not a big fan of labor unions. I've never worked for a labor union. I've never been a part of it. Yeah. But I will tell you this. I've worked long enough in television where as I travel around the country, there are some labor unions that I've worked with. So I'm a photographer, and I'm running around doing all this work, and then I would ask for some help, and I would have people that worked for unions say, oh, sorry, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you 100% can help me, but because the right person wasn't there, they couldn't help me. So I was very frustrated with my experience with some labor unions in my business, in the television business.
But on the flip side of that, if you work for a labor union, your hours are probably regulated. If you get called out or held to overtime, you get, much more money than you would make negotiating on your own. Not that you're not the world's greatest negotiator, but
terrible negotiator.
Yeah. So Stellantis, did you know this? You didn't know this. They make Chrysler 300s and Dodge Charger.
So it's Chrysler?
Chrysler Pacifica. They still make those?
Yeah, minivan.
I rode in one once. I liked it. I didn't know that they were still on the market. A Voyager, and then they make some. Oh, hello, they make Ram trucks. How did you not know this? They make Rams. I'm pretty sure I'm looking at the right website. It says StellantisFleet.com. So I guess
I'll trust you. I've never heard of Stellantis.
And maybe they bought out. Anyway,
I'm sure they did.
We digress. Yeah. Oh, they make Wranglers, Jeep Wranglers, Dodge Durango. List goes on and on. So here's what's going on right now. And in a moment, I'm gonna drop the big number on Dave as to how much they want in terms of a pay increase. 146,000 workers are threatening to strike, as Dave said. 3 companies are involved. And the Detroit Three, as they're known, they all began these labor discussions back in July. So we know that, if car production comes to a standstill, I think we learned this years ago when some of the like back in the 80s when they needed to bail out Chrysler, and then, they I don't know, did we bail out the car companies like 15 years ago during the near collapse into a depression? We were in the Great Recession 15 years ago. They want a 40% pay increase. This is what they want.
40%.
So, but you know how important that the car industry is to keeping the economy rolling, right? I mean, you can't just shut down production and not expect there to be some sort of fallout. So I want you to base your opinion on that. Like you understand how important it is that people still be able to buy cars, right?
No,
and
jobs in general.
Right,
I get that. Here's the problem I have with labor unions in general. And part of why I think a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth is because labor unions, they minimize the individual to maximize the collective, right? So you can be the greatest worker in the world, Debbie, and it doesn't matter because the labor union has negotiated something on behalf of everybody. So you can be the greatest worker in the world, and as long as you have the same job as the bum next to you that is lazy, shows up late, you're going to get paid the same. And I've never liked that model. I don't think it really asks you, the individual, to go above and beyond.
Interesting. 40% pay increase is what is on the table, and also restoration of pension for new hires. I think this is where you're going to start seeing pension programs that got obliterated 15 years ago. A lot of them got gutted because of the downturn in the stock market and what we saw with the crash of the stock market after the whole economy started to collapse because of what happened with the housing market, and on and on and on. They're also arguing for the restoration of pensions for new hires. I say just go for it. You got to go for it. You got to strike while the iron is hot. This is what UPS workers did. And we've reported on the significant pay raise that UPS workers and part-time workers are going to get as a result of the Teamsters Union and their negotiation. In some cases, we've heard that drivers will start earning up to $170,000 a year. Now, I think, if my brain serves me right, I'm trying to look for the notes on this. I don't see them here. That that UPS will include benefits, but the idea of a driver who's able to work his way up the company, or his or her way. I've seen female drivers too. I mainly see male drivers for UPS, who can earn a wage that they can afford to retire on, plus they have a pension. Go for it. Why would you not go for it? Who among us would go into the boss's office and say, I want a 40% pay increase, but if you give me 10%, I'll be happy? Any one of us here in this conversation would absolutely jump at the chance to get a 40% pay raise.
Debbie, if we went in and asked for a 40% pay raise, not only would we be laughed out of the building, we'd be laughed out of the county. We would have to make a different, phone call from a different area code.
But if we
they
all
would
went
be
in
laughing
together.
so hard.
But if we all went in together, no matter where you work, then
Say,
you're
hey, nice
bargaining.
knowing you. I can't afford that.
Interesting.
Like, what company can afford a 40% increase?
Well, I
it
don't-
just seems so insane.
Are the car makers hurting?
Well, let me just tell you this. Whether they're hurting or not is immaterial, because ultimately what happens is the company's going to make what the company makes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a 40% increase, the cost of the car is going to skyrocket. Let me give you a little example. 10 years ago, the average cost, Kelley Blue Book, the average cost of a new car 10 years ago, which is not that long ago, $31,000. Do you know what it is right now? $48,000. So you can champion and celebrate the worker all you want, But ultimately, the person that is paying the price is the car buyer. And that's why we see car loans skyrocketing from $300 to $400 a month to $800 or $900.
So what's the right number? Is the right number 0?
You don't negotiate collectively. You negotiate individually. So
bust the union. That's busting the union.
Yeah, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not a union fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, UPS has hundreds of thousands of union employees. I'm sure the car makers have hundreds of thousands of union employees. You know, I'd be curious. Salt Lake or Utah is not a union state. Generally, I don't know that there's any unions here. I mean, maybe there's some union, but it's not to the
teachers union.
Teachers union, yeah. Well, maybe we'll get them on the line. Maybe their negotiations have actually boosted teachers' pay, at least starting pay, to something that's respectable, reasonable. I mean, maybe they'd say, no, it's not even reasonable right now.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. We have breaking news. Olympus High School has entered its lockdown protocol this morning. Though it says there is no direct threat to the school, the Granite School District website says suspicious circumstances on campus led to the lockdown and police have detained a student of interest. Some early September snow fell in Utah's mountains. Southern Utah's rain totals, though, are just unheard of. KSL meteorologist Kevin Eubank says the rainfall in St. George broke a record.
3.47 inches of rain in 2 days over the weekend. That is the biggest two-day rain total in St. George history, dating back to 1892.
Some parts of St. George saw even more, 4 to 4.5 inches in places. And as we start to say goodbye to summer, the KSL forecast says we'll still be warm this week, and there's a much diminished chance of rain. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Federal fiscal year ends September 30th. Congress has to pass a new budget by then to keep the federal government running, or it'll shut down. Here's ABC's Jay O'Brien.
House Republican leadership, particularly Kevin McCarthy, are pushing this idea of a stopgap funding measure to essentially punt this into the fall and possibly even into the winter and into the holiday season. So keep the government open with that stopgap measure while also still having this funding fight.
That's ABC's Jay O'Brien. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down about 85 points right now. The NASDAQ up just a little, less than 8 points right now. And our KSL weather is going to dry out and warm up. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
Home is your sanctuary, or is it? If you're tired of yard work, too much space to clean over multiple levels, listen up. Start enjoying home a little more with Nielsen Homes' newest single-level townhomes. Move-in ready without the thought of tedious yard work and close to all the things you love and enjoy. Nielsen Homes offers spacious, single-level, open floor plans without stairs or yard work and a lower 5.5% interest rate. Nielsen Homes has been building homes across the Wasatch Front for over 45 years. They understand all stages of life and build homes to accommodate the things you need, paired with things you love. See their newest single-level living community in Davis and Weber County, close to golf, pickleball, and more. It's low-maintenance luxury single-level living. No stairs, no more lawnmowers, no yard work, no waiting, and no high interest rates. Visit Nielsen Homes Communities at nielsenhomes.com. Call 385-389-1160. Online at nilsonhomes.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family. Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Ricky Meeks.
It is a good-looking drive on all of the Valley freeways, but we do have Salt Lake City PD on the scene of an earlier accident. It's in the final cleanup stages. California Avenue at 900 West. Renew your smile with Grandpa's Dental. Grandpa's Dental offers cosmetic and routine dentistry. Visit grandpasdental.com for a location near you. That's grandpasdental.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny and cool. High only 79 today. Then it warms up through the rest of the week. Highs close to 90 by Friday. Right now, we're at 70 degrees with sunny skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
All right, we've got, it's a big day today, and we've got to talk to Boyd about the importance of primary election day. We had another heavy hitter on the show earlier, and that was Governor Spencer Cox talking about, like, you know what, today's the day, the final day to get your ballot in, but don't expect results right away.
Honestly, I've seen polling from different camps and parties. I have absolutely no idea who's going to win today. I can't usually say that. I think all three of them have a legit chance to win today, and I won't be surprised if any one of them comes out the victor. We probably won't know tomorrow because I think it is going to be close. I think it's going to be split three ways fairly evenly, and so it could take several days as those late votes come in. People who vote today by mail, we collect all those, we count all those, and that takes a few days.
Boyd Matheson joining us right now. Inside Sources today, 1 to 3. Boyd, very interesting path that Governor Cox has taken as far as his political career has gone. He started off as a council member, then mayor, county commissioner, state legislator, lieutenant governor, and then governor. It's incredible. This guy's done it all on all the levels. But I think he has this unique perspective of, wow, from a very granular part of politics to big picture.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting part of the day because of that kind of experience, you really do see how these local elections and these district elections often can be very different from what happens on the national scale. And so the governor's perspective there, and I think the governor's spot on. I don't think there's much of a likelihood we'll know winners tonight, especially because it's a three-way race. If it was a two-way race, you could say, well, we could probably project how many people are sending in by mail today, and you could probably work out the math, but I don't think we'll be able to do the math.
The race you're referencing for listeners is the 2nd Congressional District, where we've got 3 Republican candidates hoping to get out of one of them hoping to get out of the primary. One of them will, with the most votes. And then they will be pushed on to the general election in November. Of course, there's a lot of city council races as well on those ballots that have gone out. I think there's just multiple cities that are looking at replacing or, filling spots that are open on the city council, and probably some other races too, Boyd. But the way the ballots are tallied, and the fact that people can mail in their ballot as late as tonight at 8 p.m., which is a little unusual.
Very
Usually,
unusual.
Don't listen to me say this and get confused. I don't mean to confuse you because you'll half hear what I'm about to say. But normally the cutoff to get a ballot postmarked is the day before an election.
That's correct.
Not today. And I'm going to repeat myself. Not today. You have until 8 o'clock tonight to get it postmarked at the post office.
Yeah, that's right. And so, again, because of the holiday yesterday and because of the unique dynamics of this particular race to replace Congressman Stewart in particular, that's impacted all of the municipal ballots as well. And so we have sort of this squirrely election day today, followed by a squirrely election day in late November that will actually decide some of these races. So, it is important. You can still get your ballot in. You can still drop it in the mail today. It just has to be postmarked today.
And again, to enhance the squirreliness, after all of those elections are done, when do we expect the elected to join Congress?
Well, the final will be just before Thanksgiving.
Right.
And I'm assuming once that is certified, which could take 10 days or so, then that person will immediately be sworn in to Congress. And I'll just
early December.
Early December is likely when that will happen. And they'll be just in time for the next battle before the holidays on spending in our nation's capital. So whoever wins this seat, you have the primary today, you'll have the general in November, and then whoever does take over as the representative for the 2nd Congressional District will likely walk into Washington in early December facing some pretty major votes coming in.
And another layer to that is we'll almost immediately have to start campaigning again because you've got the primary Super Tuesday in March.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, they should start, whoever wins the primary should start now because they will have to file in January to run for the full term in Congress for the CD2. And so, whoever does win, it's just the beginning of their another year of election cycle for them.
And in another broken record moment, we are looking to Congress to set the budget because it's, we're running out of time once again. So I'm sure they'll do a continuing resolution. But this is one of those issues that whoever wins that seat in November will have to, I guess they'll come in right after. Hopefully something's decided and we don't have a government shutdown.
No, the government won't shut down. They'll get it done.
It's the end of this month.
End of this
got
month,
it,
yep.
Right?
Yep.
The fiscal year runs out.
And we've been doing a big news alert sounder. We're going to send it to every congressional office, and that is every year, September 30th comes. Every year. And that's the date Congress has to fund the government. So it's not just the budgeting process, it's the actual voting and passing, and the president has to sign it into law, so then it is funded. And it is the legislative duty. We often talk about power in Washington. The Constitution doesn't say this is the power of the purse. It says it is your legislative duty. In other words, this is the job. And so you're going to hear a lot this week. We've already heard it. Members of Congress saying, we just thought we'd have more time. We're not sure we can get it done. It's like, it comes every year. This if there's a surprise, that's shocking and deeply disturbing. And it should be highly offensive to voters that we do this every year because we know September 30th comes. It comes every single year. There's never been a year in the history of ever that September 30th hasn't come. And so it is coming, and we'll see lots of fake fights, lots of false choices. And then they'll punt it with a continuing resolution, as you said, Debbie. I'm going to make the prediction. It's going to be for my birthday. It's going to go until December the 14th, and that will be when the next showdown.
Which is when we should have somebody in that seat, somebody new in that seat.
That's right. So
they might be in the thick of it.
Oh, they will. No, they definitely will be in the thick of it. Whoever wins this seat is going to find themselves in the middle of another storm right before the holidays.
For years and years, I've heard you talk about this, that there's appropriations. How many are there? 12 appropriations should happen. Are we getting any closer? Is anybody making any progress toward the ideal where everyone submits their budget and we pass those instead of lumping them all together? And
we've had a few little flurries here and there over the years where Congress has done its job. Maybe the House has done it, but then the Senate just sat on it, and that kind of goes back. This year, it's completely unserious. Nobody is serious about this. And here's the real thing. Here's the reason it's a bigger problem is because we say continuing resolution, and most people think, that just keeps spending going at normal levels. But it's those levels plus. President Biden has already asked for several pluses of billions of dollars to go to different programs to plus them up. Members of Congress will do the same thing. So it's a continuing resolution plus plus, and we are now projected that this year the deficit is going to double. It will be deficit $4 trillion. We will spend $4 trillion more dollars than the government takes in the fiscal year, and this is how that happens. We'll watch it play out through the month of September.
Boyd, that's that's some real sunshine you're bringing into the studio.
Boyd, you got special coverage today for today's primary election day. You got a big show lined up starting at 1 o'clock.
Yep.
All right. We will be tuned in, as always. Boyd Matheson of Inside Sources, 1 to 3 today with special primary election day edition. As Congressman Chris Stewart gets ready to step down, and there is a race to replace going on right now. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, go along for the ride there as well. Jeff's got a packed show. Lindsay Aerts will be out and about, as ballots start to come in. And then tonight, the big show, 7 to 9, KSL at night. When the ballots, didn't Lanny Chapman, she joined us earlier. She's the Salt Lake County clerk. She said, what time?
Drop at 8.
Start dropping at 8. Yeah. All right. So we are definitely the station to be. Nowhere else to be today. We've got much more. Lindsay Aerts, in fact, joining us next to tell us if voter turnout's gone from 25% to 26%.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We are Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
Before you head to work, before you hit the gym,
keep going, that's it.
Before you make your way home,
bye.
Get a quick check on traffic and weather.
PD on the scene at 8 South and West Temple.
Highway 89 also really backed up.
Listen every 10 minutes on the 9s, in your car at 102.7 FM, or tell Alexa, play KSL News Radio.
If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Even though that's an old adage, it's still very true today. And it's especially true of your old 401k. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, asking you to get that old 401k in sight and out of the company you no longer work for. But don't roll it into your new 401k. That could be one of the worst things you do. Of course that's easy. But when has the easiest way ever been the best way? Instead, call Trajan Wealth and learn about all of your options, including a way to earn an upfront bonus of up to 25% for your future income just for rolling it over. That's right. You could earn up to a 25% bonus for your retirement income just for rolling that 401k over with Trajan Wealth. Don't roll that 401k into your new company plan. Don't do it without calling Trajan Wealth first. Call 801-899-7600 or visit TrajanWealth.com.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
For quite a while now, KSL has partnered with Be Ready Utah to help get you ready for those emergencies. Brian Stinson joins us right now from Be Ready Utah, Emergency Preparedness and Outreach Specialist. September is National Preparedness Month. I think a lot of us have heard it. We don't know exactly what to do, and then we start looking at lists, and you have some great lists on your website. I can feel a little overwhelmed when I look at that list.
Well, the whole point that Be Ready Utah, why we were created, is because we want to help people understand that we're not talking zombie apocalypse here. We're not talking end of the world. We're talking about everyday emergencies that can happen to you and your family. I mean, it could be something like losing your job. Just recently we had flooding going on. If you're not able to get from point A to point B, could that be an emergency? So emergency preparedness doesn't have to be anything complex. It can be just those simple things that you can put together right now, today, to make it so that if something happens, you and your family are taken care of.
So what's your recommendation? If I don't have a lot of time, if I don't have a lot of money, what can I begin with?
Well, some of the things you can begin with, you can go to beready.utah.gov, of course, our website. We've got tons of information there. Before you even need to spend any money, we want to talk about being informed. What kinds of hazards are possible where you live? Here in Utah, of course, we always talk about earthquakes. We just had flooding. So those are two possible hazards that could happen where we live. Now, how can you find out about all the hazards? Well, you can go to beready.utah.gov. You can talk to your emergency manager, those kinds of things. But you also need to know the protective actions, how to survive those hazards as well. We can help.
And I think narrowing it down right out of the gate of, okay, what is most likely to hit me? I don't have any forests surrounding my place.
Right.
I'm probably not going to get caught in a forest fire. I don't need to prepare for that. But making that initial assessment of where does the danger lie, beready.utah.gov is the website. If you don't mind sticking around, there's an interesting question. When do I bug out and when do I shelter in place? If you stick around, I want to get your thoughts on that as well. beready.utah.gov.
The Utah RV Super Show at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy, September 14th through 17th. Get information and discount passes at UtahRVSupershow.com.
As the weather turns colder, this is when you need to get those new windows. So call Advanced Window Products. They'll replace your single-pane, rickety old windows with stylish, state-of-the-art double-pane windows with precision frames. You pick the style and color. They're custom-made right here in Salt Lake City. This company is so Utah. It's run by two guys who grew up here, Jake Weber and Utes defensive star Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sacktown with 7 NFL seasons under his belt. Great guys, great company building high-quality windows for 37 years. Unlike other companies, they build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. No middleman. There's Jake, Nate, and their team, and there's you. Saving on the highest quality windows. Right now, before winter, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more, and they offer 60 months, 0% financing. So call Advanced Window Products now. You could have stylish new windows in 8 weeks. 801-850-9100. 801-850-9100 or visit advancedwindowsusa.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Olympus High School implemented its lockdown protocol this morning because of suspicious circumstances on campus. Second, police are working to recover a body from the Jordan River this morning. No word yet on who the victim was. Third, the federal government spending authority expires at the end of this month. Congress will have to reach some kind of budget compromise to avoid a shutdown. Right now, 70 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
It's getting word here at Broadcast House that United Airlines issuing a nationwide ground stop. ABC News is reporting that it's due to some computer issues, and they're getting that word, Dave, from the FAA. So our question is, how is this going to impact flights in and out of Salt Lake International Airport? Our producer on the line right now trying to track down somebody at the airport to bring us up to date on how this nationwide ground stop, just United Airlines, will impact flights in and out of Utah. Let me just go to the misery map real quick for FlightAware. FlightAware.com does this incredible mapping of delays and cancellations. And right now, nationally, we have 5 cancellations, 234 flight delays. Don't know what that is in context, like if that's just a normal day at this time. But Denver looks like the delays there are stacking up in Denver, and then you got LAX and Dallas-Fort Worth. And
what's that website again?
It's FlightAware.com. You know, if you are flying United today, definitely check your app. Check with the airline. You might not want to call them because
they're a little busy right now.
They're busy.
Yeah.
But I don't know what particular part of United Airlines this computer issue is impacting. Like, for example, is it impacting your app? Or is it just impacting pilots being able to talk to each other? We don't know. These are all details we're trying to gather right now.
And again, we don't know what caused that. I have no idea if there's some sort of a cyber hack, if this is just a regular system failure. We do not know this yet, but very simply put, if you're on a United Airlines flight right now, you've either been delayed or canceled.
The race to replace. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
When we last checked in with Salt Lake County Clerk Lanny Chapman, I think she was proud to report that Salt Lake County is a little bit ahead in terms of voter turnout right now. Could be a lot of reasons for this, but statewide it's about 25%. Specifically, we're talking about in the 2nd Congressional District primary race. But the county itself is at 27%. So, this could all be due to late ballots being mailed in or dropped off.
Yeah, and we have changed over the years. Normally, you'd be able to see the early day of voting and get a good idea of what is going to happen. Right now, there's so many question marks because there's so many ways you can vote. You can either be in person, you can mail it weeks in advance, you can drop it off the day of. At least this year you can. And we just don't know how quickly. We think that turnout is going to be low, but again, we just don't know because they just trickle in over the next several days.
It's an off election year, and it's a special primary election as well. Expect in the neighborhood of 40%. But the best person to ask on our entire team is KSL News Radio's Lindsay Aerts, who is standing by live. Where are you at, Linz? Are you in the
Hi, guys.
Are you out and about in Salt Lake County somewhere?
Yeah, I'm out and about in Salt Lake County. I'm actually shifting my workday a little bit later so I can help with kind of returns coverage today. So starting with Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, will be live from the belly of the beast, we call it, which is the ballot return center at the Salt Lake County Clerk's office. I've been in there before for elections returns, and it's kind of a fascinating process. You're watching county, volunteers and election staff tally ballots and check them in, process them, put them in batches. And then at the same time, you're watching, the county clerk and the elections director in Salt Lake County go into a locked room in a locked office and tabulate the results, but you can see in the window. So it's a big kind of inside the belly of the beast, if you will, to watch the election returns come in. And certainly this election is a primary election, municipals, and then the CD2 race. So it's not a huge profile, a huge turnout, but nonetheless, it's exciting to watch. And we know with this member of Congress, this will be the Republicans' choice for who they want to put forward to replace Congressman Chris Stewart. So it is significant.
Lindsay Aerts covers politics here at KSL News Radio. And Lindsay, as we're looking specifically at Congressional District 2, Celeste Malloy, Bruce Huff, and Becky Edwards, it's really the biggest race on any of these tickets. But working up here, working in Salt Lake, it's very easy to focus on northern Utah, but a lot of Bruce Huff and Celeste Malloy's campaigning was happening in southern Utah. What do we know about the turnout as far as early returns in southern Utah?
Yeah, in fact, I just talked with the Washington County Clerk earlier today, and I don't have an exact number, but certainly we saw turnout start real slow in Washington County and then tick up in, I think it's in the mid-20% range, mid-20s right now. And I will just point out that district-wide, as of this morning, turnout is now at 28.1%. So we have ticked up a little bit, as is normal, but 28.1% on the morning of Election Day. We hope to get up to about 40%. That's what a lot of, election experts are predicting, and the state elections office, but you just never know how many people are going to turn in their ballots on the day of Election Day, but certainly talking about it helps. But yeah, we are seeing some of those rural counties turn out a little bit, which could be significant in this race. I had a conversation with Celeste Malloy late last week, and she actually believes that the rural vote can swing this election. She believes that the three counties with the most people in them, which are Salt Lake, Davis, and Washington, could actually split the vote between these three candidates, and that would leave the rural vote to kind of tip the scales, if you will, and she believes that will go in her favor. Now, I don't know if the numbers are showing that, but at the same time, it just kind of goes to show. I've also seen some internal polling from Bruce Huff's campaign that shows him with a little bit of edge in certain areas. And so, and then we have that Deseret News poll that showed Becky Edwards of those who had decided with the lead. So again, I think it's anyone's race at this point. And where there's three candidates, they really only have to get about 34% of the vote. So that's it's not a majority. I mean, it is a majority, but it's not over 50%, right? It's not half the vote. So 34%, really this race could go any way.
Lindsay Ertz is going to be out and about all day long for us here at Broadcast House. Of course, Boyd Matheson will have complete coverage of primary election day, which then falls into Jeff Kaplan's wheelhouse right after that. He will go ahead and continue to carry the torch for us throughout the afternoon. Lindsay will be joining his show throughout the afternoon. So as you're getting in the car to head home, definitely tune into Jeff's show and Lindsay's coverage. And then KSL at night from 7 to 9. Ballots expected, the first batch expected to drop after, 8 o'clock tonight, Linz?
Yeah, that is correct. And I don't expect that we'll have a clear winner tonight. I guess we could, but because of the way we vote and voting by mail, I expect ballots to trickle in. And where this race could be really close, we may not get a winner right away because we need to wait for more of those returns to come in to get somebody over that 34%.
Lindsay Ertz, thank you for joining us, KSL political reporter.
Yeah, there's lots to know about today. In fact, I want to ask this question. I don't know if Lindsay would have had it, but we've got Derek Brown, former head of the Utah GOP, and of course host of KSL at night. He'll be joining us about 20 minutes or so. I want to ask him, maybe you know this, Dave, if you're a Republican and you decide to opt out of voting in the primary, which we know generally about 55 to 60% will not vote. Can you still vote in the general?
Oh, yeah.
You can. So
Yep.
you don't.
Yep.
So this isn't a pass to get to the
nope.
to the general.
Nope.
Yeah. So
no requirements to
yeah.
vote in this.
So I wonder. That it's interesting to me that the turnout is among the Republicans is so low.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And what would it be if we didn't have this special election? If we're like fingers crossed hoping for 40%, what would happen if we didn't have this big race?
The last special election, it was also 40% turnout.
Back in 2017,
when Jason Chaffetz gave up his seat. So we're just we're perfectly happy in off year elections. It seems like we're just kind of perfectly content in that 40% turnout range. Next, Bruce Huff calling the show. We'll ask him more about that internal polling. I'm going to ask him about his internal polling next.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. We have breaking news. All United Airlines flights system-wide are reportedly being stopped from taking off. ABC's Alex Stone explains.
Details are limited at the moment, but the FAA has posted a notice to all airports and pilots, and United has requested that all of its flights globally be grounded from taking off. The FAA notes some kind of equipment outage as a reason United called for the ground stop. At United hubs like San Francisco, United planes are lined up waiting.
And again, United Airlines flights system-wide being prevented from taking off right now. Golfers at the Rose Park Golf Course in Salt Lake City spotted a body near the Jordan River shortly before 9 this morning. Police and firefighters have recovered the body, and they routinely bring homicide detectives into the investigation of unexplained deaths like this. The investigation's still open. They have not yet released additional information. The annual Burning Man Festival has ended in Nevada with thousands of people still trying to get home after a weekend of rain and mud on the lake bed where it's held every year. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
Except for the mental aspect of knowing they couldn't leave, many Burning Man attendees say they had planned on living in the desert all weekend anyway, and that yes, it was muddy, but otherwise it wasn't that bad. Jen was volunteering at Burning Man and explained the community atmosphere in the mud at one tent.
They serve pho soup all day long, so people are lining up there for soup because it's actually pretty chilly out today, and they're hungry, so camps are feeding them.
On Monday night, the symbolic man, a wooden structure shaped like a man, was burned, which was the end, and now attendees are driving out. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 143 points on the day right now. The NASDAQ has slipped back into negative territory, down about 8 points. And our KSL weather is going to warm up just a bit over the next week. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey, if you're wondering how to get ready because September is National Preparedness Month, let me give you a website, great resource, beready.utah.gov. Brian Stinson joins us right now from, he's an outreach specialist, an emergency preparedness expert with Be Ready Utah. Brian, one of the things I wonder, and as we have watched over the last few months, there's been some disasters, natural disasters, whether it's a hurricane or a wildfire. When do I know when to bug out, and when should I shelter in place?
Well, usually knowing what to do, you get that information from the local authorities, whether you hear it on the radio with KSL or wherever. You're usually told which is the best option for you for those protective actions. A lot of people think when something happens, I'm going to grab my family, run to the hills, and just bug out. But in 99% of the emergencies that you're going to face, you're going to want to be home. Why do you want to be home? You've got your shelter there. You've got your food. You've got water stores. You even have your neighborhood that you can help each other, with you and your neighbors in overcoming the difficulties for the emergency. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to have evacuation plans as well. You need to have that disaster supply kit for each and every member of your family that you're ready to go with if you need to. And if the call comes out that you need to evacuate, know your evacuation routes, know which direction to go, maybe even have alternate routes. And then also, it's always a great idea to keep your gas tank at least half full.
Okay, that was one of the things that I never think about, is like either the gas tank or the propane tank. Whatever gas you're talking about, I usually like to run those on empty. Brian, thanks. Stick around because you have some information about a webinar, another great resource that you can tell us about. BeReady.utah.gov is the website, great resource that we have access to. BeReady.utah.gov.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes, the IRS has greenlighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship and is now accessible through Tax Help USA. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. For this free information, call 800-251-1413. 800-251-1413. That's 800-251-1413.
Visit Serenoni Luxury Blanket Warehouse Sale, Wednesday, September 6th at Orion Event Center in Linden. Save on the world's softest blankets for babies to adults. Get huge discounts on the best gifts ever.
Even before the pandemic, 1 in 5 American adults experience some form of mental illness, depression, suicide, prescription opioid misuse. Utah isn't immune to our share of challenges, but there is hope. We need to take action to keep our loved ones safe. That's why KSL has teamed with the University of Utah Huntsman Mental Health Institute to bring you hope and help you thrive. It's Healthy Mind Matters. Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Ricky Meese.
Well, I don't have anything reported yet, but I definitely see some heavy and slow traffic northbound I-15 in Sandy, going from 114th south almost to 90th south, really concentrated there by the Southtown Mall at 106. Again, just be prepared for some slower speeds there, but overall, that is the only spot of slowing on all of your Valley freeways. How do you know if you're getting the best deal on employee benefits? Well, you don't, unless you get free quotes from every insurance company every year. Visit shopmyplan.com to get free quotes. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, mostly sunny and cool. High today only 79. Then it warms up through the rest of the week with highs close to 90 by Friday. And right now, we're at 70 degrees with sunny skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Your all-day companion for news.
Continuing to track the developing story that United Airlines has issued a nationwide, well, it's all flights ground stop. I just checked back with FlightAware.com, which posts what's called a misery map of flights that have been canceled, flights that have been delayed. The number of delays now stands at almost 350. We're at 349 delays nationwide. Not too many delays at Salt Lake International Airport right now. Let me look real quick, see if I can get you that number. 5 delays That stayed pretty steady. But what I have noticed is that Denver, DIA, that number of delays has jumped by 15 in just the last few minutes. So they're now at 44 delays. So maybe this is impacting different airports as it would based on where you're at.
And I haven't seen any update of how long they expect this to last, whether this is just a few hours or if this is going to stretch any longer into the next day.
The reason that we're being told right now of national media reporting that it has to do with some computer issues. We don't exactly know what computer issues, but as soon as we get more information, you will be the first to know.
The race to replace. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
In a moment, we're going to get Bruce Huff on the line. He is running in the 2nd Congressional District. We had Becky Edwards, one of his opponents, on earlier, along with Celeste Malloy, who also joined us earlier in the show. And the hours are ticking down. You have to have your ballot postmarked. You can go to the post office with your mail-in ballot. Stand in the line. Just give yourself a few extra minutes there. Make sure the clerk at the post office, rubber stamps it with the date and time stamp and puts that in the mail, because you don't want to slip it in the blue box out front. You don't know if it's going to be picked up in time. It has to be postmarked by today. You could also vote in person. You could drop your ballot off at a ballot box as well today.
What is unique about this race, and part of what adds to the intrigue, is it is a 3-person race with 3 good candidates. Typically, when you look at a third-party candidate or somebody coming in, that kind of can split the vote. Sometimes it makes zero difference. It will be interesting, Debbie, to see what happens, because as we look at some of the polling numbers that have come out, Dan Jones, Hinckley Institute of Politics, conducted one for the Hinckley Institute of Politics and the Deseret News. They had Becky Edwards with a very large lead, but with such a truncated timeline, you can have wild swings in just a matter of days.
Well, Bruce, good morning.
Good morning. How is everybody today?
Bruce Huff, candidate in the 2nd Congressional District, live on the line. We're doing well. To Dave's point about that poll, it put Becky Edwards in front, but Lindsay Aerts just spilled the beans, and she said you had some internal polling that showed you're out in front of this race.
Yeah, it's if you think about the poll that was done by the Hinckley Institute, that was done, and it was released 2 weeks after it was done. And I think even Celeste this morning mentioned that was a really old poll for this kind of an election. And really, for our internal polling, we've shown a steady climb. And, for the last 11 days, we've shown that we're actually in the lead. It is a close race. There's a lot of people still out there who have not voted. We had about a 30%, 26% undecided was the last number that we had. There's a lot still to be done. This just today is, if you haven't voted, I just encourage everybody to vote. It's an important part of our duty as a citizen. It's a privilege, and people have fought to preserve this right for us.
I think part of what surprised me the most in that old poll is that almost half of people were still undecided, and you said the more recent polling you've seen, there's still a quarter of people that are undecided. What do you make of that?
Well, July and August is what I make of it. We are in the middle of summer. This is a serious thing. I literally called 4 people in one day. 4 people, all were in Alaska fishing, and they were not with each other. So, this is a difficult time to run any kind of election. With a special election, just the more difficult. So it's been a challenge, but we're all up to the challenge. That's why we're in this.
Bruce Huff, candidate for the 2nd Congressional District, on the line with us right now as we begin the countdown to when the first ballot results, the first results get dropped tonight at 8 o'clock, or shortly after polls officially close. Of course, you'll have to have it tuned to KSL at night because they will have all of that information and be broadcasting it live. Bruce, as you're out and about in these final hours, what is top of mind for voters? If you could pick one thing that's bubbling up that you're hearing repeatedly.
Well, really, all the things that we've talked about for the last 2 months relating to faith, family, and freedom, just the idea of the things that are important from a value standpoint in this state and representing those back in Washington and holding firm and fast to those principles and values. But listen, one of the very first things that I came out with was the idea that, with 10 children and 22 grandchildren and a $32 trillion debt, that we have to do something about that to really preserve the promise of America for our children and grandchildren. And so that's still number one on the list. Inflation, all things economic, what we call the kitchen table issues. Everybody, regardless of where you are in the district, those are the same issues. And then, the regulatory overreach. And, I'm the one guy in this race who has pushed back against the federal government in a very significant way and helped really preserve an industry in the state and certainly our own business. And the only one also that really has been in the private sector at all. And so there's a real differentiation, I think, between, who you're going to send back to Washington here and having somebody with that experience and that life experience of being able to really understand what people are concerned about and being able to represent that fully and empathetically back in Washington.
Bruce Huff, thank you for joining us, Republican candidate for the congressional seat in District 2.
Yeah, thanks so much to all of the candidates who joined us this morning. Becky Edwards in the 10 o'clock hour, Celeste Malloy right out of the gates in the 9 o'clock hour, and also the one person who wasn't running for any office, Governor Cox. Phoned the show at 9:50 this morning. Full coverage throughout the day right here on KSL News Radio. I want to go back to our developing story, and that's United Airlines has issued a full stop. All flights have been ordered to stand down. Now hearing that they'll lift that, till at least 2 o'clock Eastern time today, so noon our time. So in about 15 minutes, we should know more. It's a full ground stop for any departing flights nationwide. And United Airlines, or CNN is reporting that United Airlines is doing this due to an equipment outage. We don't exactly have many details on what that equipment outage is, but as soon as we get more information, we're tracking that here in studio, and we are tracking that out in the newsroom as well.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Where does a journey to wellness begin? Do you start looking for diet ideas? Or searching for exercise plans? Actually, you don't have to look far. Just look to the first 2 letters of the word wellness. We means you don't have to figure it out yourself. It means your hopes and challenges are a perfect match for our knowledge and resources. It means anything you want to achieve, together, we can achieve better. Because wellness begins with we. Intermountain Health. The power of we.
Her name is Becky Edwards, and she's the common sense conservative we need in Congress. A proven fiscal conservative, Becky Edwards is unafraid to stand up to communist China or the big spenders in Washington to end the inflation that's hurting Utah families. Becky Edwards will defend our freedoms and support term limits like she did here in Utah. Becky Edwards, ready to make Washington work the Utah way.
I'm Becky Edwards, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Becky Edwards for Congress.
One of the things I love to do whenever I start feeling overwhelmed about my emergency preparedness is I like to go to beready.utah.gov. It's a great resource. The Noriega family uses it all the time. Brian Stinson's joining me right now from Be Ready Utah. You're an emergency preparedness and outreach specialist. There's something that I love. You guys are doing a webinar. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, our webinar that we're going to do, it's this coming Thursday at 7 p.m. It's free. We encourage everybody to get on and register. You can just register, go right to our website, beready.utah.gov. And from there, you can register and just attend our webinar. We're going to be talking about emergency preparedness basics, kind of some of the things we've talked about today, but into a little bit more detail. We're talking about being informed about the emergencies in your area, making a plan to what you and your family need to do for those emergencies, getting a kit, that's kind of, your disaster supply kits, your food storage and water stores and all the other things, and then also how you can get involved in your community and help your community to be more involved as well.
One of the things I love about your messaging is don't feel overwhelmed. You're not going to be able to do it all at once.
Right.
Do a little bit at a time. If you do it every few weeks or once a month, next thing you'll know, you'll be surprised at how quickly you can build up.
Exactly. Well, and how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. That's right.
On our website, beready.utah.gov, we do have a brochure that talks about preparedness basics in 52 weeks. And that's just one step that you can do each week. So by the end of the year, you've got a lot of the basics done.
Okay. You can sign up for the webinar. It is free. They'd love you to register at beready.utah.gov. Thanks, Brian.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. This year, Utah Arts Alliance celebrates its 20th anniversary. The organization has blossomed from its grassroots beginnings into a dynamic cultural organization that brings engaging arts experiences to hundreds of thousands of individuals annually in Utah. Founder and Executive Director Derek Dyer is here to tell us more.
The mission of the Utah Arts Alliance is to foster the arts in all forms in order to create an aware, empowered, and connected community. Each year, we support over 2,000 artists and engage over 350,000 community members across Utah. Our 6 cultural facilities expand public access to the arts and give artists and creatives opportunities to thrive. These include Dreamscape's Immersive Art Experience, Urban Arts Gallery, Counterpoint Studios, the SLC Arts Hub, Alliance Theater, and the Art Castle. Each venue is unique and accommodates a wide range of activities while serving as creative incubators for artists, performance groups, and arts nonprofits. We create many cultural events throughout Utah, including several large free art festivals for the public, including the Urban Arts Festival, which is Utah's largest free art event, and Illuminate, Utah's Light Art and Creative Technology Festival. To learn more about the Utah Arts Alliance, visit us online at utaharts.org.
Utah Arts Alliance is leading the way for Utah's arts and cultural renaissance that is creating a better quality of life for all. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Join KSL in the movie show this Friday from 9 to noon at the Layton NPS store at 1150 North Main Street in Layton, npsstore.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, all United Airlines flights system-wide have been grounded this morning, reportedly because of some kind of computer glitch, though we don't know the details. Second, golfers at the Rose Park course spotted a body near the Jordan River this morning. Homicide detectives are working that case right now, but they haven't released additional information. Third, people who spent Labor Day weekend stuck in the mud at Burning Man are slowly leaving the area. Now things have dried out a bit. Right now, 70 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
The race to replace. In-depth coverage on KSL News Radio.
We have just incredible folks who are ready and lined up to give you the latest information on primary election day. As soon as results start rolling in, KSL at Night is where you're going to want to either have your favorite streaming device tuned to. You can watch us at kslnewsradio.com. You can watch us on YouTube. And you can get the results just by listening to 102.7 FM. That's the in-car preference for me. So we've got a team here, there, everywhere, making sure we bring you the very latest today.
And we know that some of these clerks are going to be releasing right at 8 o'clock. They're going to be releasing a lot of these early ballots that have already been sent in. They've been counted. So we're going to get a big chunk. We know that there's somewhere between 25 and almost 30% of the ballots have already been counted. So when we see these releases early on, around 8 o'clock tonight, we're going to have a really good idea of what's going on.
Right now, turnout in the 2nd Congressional District under 30%. We spoke to Celeste Malloy in the 9 o'clock hour.
I'm hoping that a lot of people are going to vote today. I spent a lot of time over the weekend texting and calling people who haven't voted yet, and a lot of them said they had mailed their ballots in late last week, so they haven't shown up in the tallies yet because it was a holiday weekend without mail delivery. And a lot of them plan on voting today because they want to vote on Election Day. So I think those numbers are going to come up.
Becky,
go ahead.
Yeah, and those numbers will jump up a little bit, but as we were talking to Lanny Chapman of the Salt Lake County clerk there, she said, I would really be excited about 40%. Well, if they already have 25 to 30%, then today is only going to be an additional 10% or so, kind of on the optimistic side of things.
Derek Brown, host of KSL at Night, former head of the Utah Republican Party. Hi.
Hey, this is an exciting day. And
It is exciting.
We'll be doing live coverage tonight. Covering as soon as we get anything breaking.
What do you think about Celeste Malloy's comments earlier today about turnout, that just a lot of people just, kind of rush to the ballot? I mean, we have until 8 o'clock tonight to get our ballots over to the post office or to turn them into a box somewhere or to vote in person. So there's lots of options there. What are your thoughts?
Lots of options, but I mean, this really does come down to turnout. But you mentioned one of the key things is going to be that first sort of dump of ballots that takes place at 8 o'clock p.m. Because what makes this race so unique is the high number of undecideds. We've heard about different polling. A lot of the campaigns have talked about the polling, but we really haven't seen much of their own polling, which makes me wonder if any of them are really all that comfortable or confident in going into tonight. And so with as many people undecided as there are, man, I think 8 o'clock, we'll have a pretty good idea of what things look like.
As we were watching this campaign play out, we really saw Celeste Malloy and Bruce Huff make a concerted effort to campaign. Everyone campaigned in southern Utah, but nobody campaigned like Malloy and Huff. What kind of a role do you think southern Utah plays?
Well, I think Malloy is really counting on that southern Utah connection. The governor made that interesting comment when he didn't endorse anyone, but he made the comment it would be nice to see someone who's from the rural areas of the state, and I think that was clearly a nod to Malloy. And so the more that she can turn out people in those counties, I think the more you're going to have. I think the more ballots are going to go towards her. But really, it seems like we may have. It may be a photo finish. It keeps going each different way. But the reality is, you've got a lot of turnout in Davis County. That certainly benefits. That benefits Becky Edwards, and I think a high turnout in that southern Utah area where you have Washington and Iron County certainly benefits Malloy. And so the question is, this is a numbers game. So whose numbers are going to add up to, and then you've got the Bruce Huff component, and where does he shave votes off of one or both of those candidates? And that's, the polling is just so sparse on this that we're kind of shooting in the dark, but we'll certainly know here in about 8 hours.
Bruce Huff joined the show earlier, and he actually said his internal polling showed that he has a bit of a lead. I don't know. I've never been privy to internal polling on a campaign, so I don't know if the polling shows you like what you wanted to show you. You know what I mean? But he talked to us. He talked to us about that and other things.
I'm the one guy in this race who has pushed back against the federal government in a very significant way, and helped really preserve an industry in the state and certainly our own business. And the only one also that really has been in the private sector at all.
So the poll that we do have laid eyes on with the Deseret News and Hinckley Institute of Politics put Becky Edwards way ahead in that poll.
We've been in every single county numerous times, meeting in small and large groups, talking about their concerns and answering questions, kind of hearing how there is a real alignment with a shared vision to what I like to call take a little bit more of the Utah way to Washington, D.C.
But we still have, Derek, in that poll, 47% of people who were asked who, intend to vote said they haven't decided yet.
Which is what's remarkable about this election is, when you look at that, 1 out of every 2 people voting doesn't know at this point who they're going to go with, and so that's why right now you're seeing this mad rush at the finish by all 3 of these candidates making a final push for votes, because the reality is it may come down to a photo finish, and if that's the case, it comes down to those undecideds, and it's rare to have a race where the number of undecideds is so large. That's what makes this race today so interesting.
In the final 30 seconds we have, did the state fall down not publicizing enough about this special election?
I think the state did what they could. I mean, there's just such a short fuse on this election. It was kind of a unique race. And so, I mean, when you have this kind of a thing, you're going to have less people that vote, even though the ballots, are probably sitting there on the kitchen counter for a lot of people. And so hopefully, I mean, if you're one of those listening and your ballot is still there on your kitchen counter, get it in. Today's the day.
Derek Brown, thanks for joining us, host of KSL at Night and former chair of the Utah GOP.
Yeah, and if you're confused, just go to a drop box in your community. You can go to the county clerk's office. You can vote in person or take your ballot to the post office. You have to have it postmarked by 8 o'clock tonight. Stand in line. Make sure they actually stamp it. Don't throw it in the blue box out front. Just real quick, Dave, wanted to bring our listeners up to speed. The Federal Aviation Administration has lifted the ground stop that impacted United Airline flights everywhere. It was an all-flight stop. Flights not allowed to take off. It happened during our show, and that was due to an equipment outage. But just getting word, CNN reporting that the FAA has lifted that ground stop affecting United flights.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 12 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas, and KSL's top story this hour is developing news. We've just received word that the ground stop that was keeping United Airlines from